Sarah, Councilmember Hudson, I just want to make sure you can hear us.
We can hear. No visuals, but can hear. Or at least I can. Thank you. This is Sarah.
Thank you.
Correction, have visuals now.
Thank you, Sarah. It's funny what happens when you turn on the video. And what, Victoria? Okay.
I can hear you.
Yay, thank you.
City Council meeting to order, November 4th, 6 p.m. Before we get started, please, those in the audience, if you have cell phones, please make sure that they're silenced. I don't want to have to confiscate them. And same for the council. Please silence your phones, and if you have any kind of emergency, let me know and we can take a recess. Madam Clerk, we call the roll, please.
Oops, sorry. Mayor Cooper?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara?
Here.
Councilmember Hudson?
Here.
Councilmember Graham is absent. Councilmember Collins?
Here.
And Councilmember Carrington? Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. And now, please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. George, would you lead it in the pledge, please? Thank you. So it's 6:01, and anybody that's in the audience, if you haven't voted yet, we have 2 hours to get there, and I'm sure if you go vote and come back, we'll still be here. So if you want to leave and go vote, please. Council, what do they feel about the approval of the agenda, please?
Move to approve.
I second.
Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just it's a perennial question when we renew our non-objection to the license renewal. Ask the city clerk, we didn't receive any comments, concerns.
We've not received anything. We're good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll, please.
Councilmember Collins?
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara?
Yes.
And Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
It's approved.
Thank you. Moving on, I don't see any elected officials, any board members. And I have a couple of proclamations I'd like to read tonight, but before we do, if you'd indulge me a little bit, our first proclamation is about Veterans Day, and our deputy mayor has heard this before, but it's a little bit of history. World War I, the Great War, officially ended June 28th, 1919, when the Treaty of Versailles was signed. So why do we celebrate November 11th as Veterans Day? The fighting actually ceased 7 months earlier when a temporary ceasefire went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. And that was supposed to be the war to end all wars. A little bit more history. In 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 11th as Armistice Day. But it wasn't until 1926 that Congress officially recognized the end of World War I. In 1938, November 11th became a legal holiday dedicated to the cause of world peace, and it became Armistice Day, which was a day to honor the veterans of World War I. World War I was obviously not the war to end all wars. And after World War II and the Korean War, Congress in 1954 changed the word armistice to veterans to honor veterans of all wars. In 1968, Congress wanted the federal employees to have a 3-day weekend, so Veterans Day was changed to the third Monday in October. That didn't sit well, so in 1975, President Ford signed a law which changed it back to the original date of November 11th, which is what we celebrate today. Veterans Day is more than a holiday. It's a day to recognize the sacrifice of service members and their families that they go through every day. There are approximately 1.7 million active duty military in the U.S. and approximately 16.5 million veterans. In Alaska, we have approximately 70,000 veterans in the state, the highest per capita in the nation. A little bit about my family's history. Between my father, my son, and I, we have over 87 years of continuous service in the Coast Guard. My dad joined in 1935. My son retired in 2022. And so in between, I was kind of sandwiched in between there. And I call myself the slacker of the family. My dad had 31 years, my son had 30, and I only had 26. So we spanned the time from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, to the Gulf War. I'm proud of our service to the country and to the sacrifices our families made. I personally had 13 different assignments in my 26 years, 4 of those in Alaska, and 3 of those were without my family. Without strong family support, it would have been a lot more difficult. So my charge to you, if you see a veteran, please thank them for their service, but don't limit that to just one day of the year. The veterans need to be recognized all year. We like to hear your appreciation because we are proud of what we have done, and most of us will do it again. Please take 2 minutes of silence at 11 a.m. on November 11th to honor all veterans. And are there any veterans in the crowd? John? I know, John, I know you're there. Chief? Come on, please come forward. This is a proclamation recognizing Veterans Day. Throughout our nation's history, courageous men and women have stepped forward to serve in the armed forces of the United States, defending the ideals of freedom, democracy, and justice for all. And Veterans Day is set aside each year to honor those who have worn the uniform of our country, those who stood watch on distant shores, in the skies, on the seas, and across battlefields to protect the rights and safety of others. Our veterans represent every generation, every branch of the service, from those who fought wars past to those who serve in peacekeeping missions today, each demonstrating unwavering dedication, courage, and integrity. Their service does not end when they return home. Veterans continue to strengthen our communities through leadership, public service, mentorship, and quiet acts of everyday heroism. We also recognize the family of veterans whose steadfast support, sacrifice, and love sustain those who serve and help them rebuild their lives upon returning home. The City of Palmer joins communities across Alaska and the United States in paying tribute to our veterans, expressing our deepest gratitude for their service, their sacrifice, and their example for the future generations. Now therefore it's proclaimed by the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Palmer that November 11th shall be observed as Veterans Day in the City of Palmer, and we call upon all residents to honor and remember the valor, courage, and devotion to all those who have served our great nation. Thank you for your service. Now I'll ask, are there any family members of veterans? It could be your father, your grandfather, if they are, I appreciate it. You can stand, or please come forward as well. Your shirt matches your hair. Good job. This is a proclamation recognizing national veterans and military family members. Our nation is protected by brave and selfless individuals who volunteer to defend our freedoms and uphold the values we hold dear. And service in the military is not merely a job. It is a commitment that transforms every aspect of life for both the service member and their loved ones. Behind every service member stands a family that serves as well. Enduring long separations, frequent relocations, missed holidays, and the daily uncertainty that comes with their loved ones called to duty. These families quietly shoulder the burden of military life, raising children alone during deployments, rebuilding communities with each move, offering steadfast emotional support and holding their homes and hearts together while their loved ones serve afar. The depth of their sacrifice often goes unseen by those not living it, yet their courage, patience, and resilience are vital to the strength of our armed forces and the spirit of our nation. The City of Palmer recognizes that our military families embody a unique kind of heroism, one rooted in love, endurance, and unwavering support. Therefore, the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Palmer hereby claim that November 2025 is hereby designated as Military Family Appreciation Month in heartfelt gratitude and recognition of families who quiet sacrifices sustain our nation's defender. Moving on, we will now have the City Manager's report, please.
Thank you. I wasn't going to say this, but in honor of military families, I'd like to thank my husband, retired Lieutenant Colonel Keaton Zirkle, for over 22 years of service in the Air Force. I love you very much. All right, now on to business. The city recently received its wage comparison study from Soaring Bird Solutions, and we'll be reviewing that study with HR for any pay plan adjustments. And those adjustments will be seen in 2026, but we will be working on some of those now. Moving on to the airport. The RFP for fair market appraisal services at the airport, which is posted on September 30th, closed this Monday, November 3rd. Unfortunately, there were no responsive bids that were received, so we'll repost that RFP as soon as possible. I've also continued reviewing land use agreements associated with the Palmer Airport to ensure full compliance with FAA grant obligations. And just a little bit of history, between 1975 and 1986, the city received federal funding to buy airport property. This created permanent requirements that this land be used for aeronautical purposes and that all revenue derived from it benefit airport operations. There have been recent discussions regarding whether the city could seek a release of federal obligations for the portion of the airport land that is currently used for the Palmer Golf Course. And the answer is yes, we can. Releasing land from FAA obligations involves a comprehensive federal review. The city and airport must demonstrate that the property is not needed for current or future aeronautical development use. For context, all of our historical and current city planning documents have identified this land as reserved for aeronautical development and potential airport expansion. And although the golf course provides a very valuable recreational activity, it is not considered a community space under FAA standards. To qualify as a community space, an area must be accessible to the entire community, not operated for profit, and not restricted to a select group of users. The Palmer Golf Course, which is operated by an independent contractor, is a for-profit business and is only accessible to those who pay a fee. Therefore, it would be difficult for the city to argue for a release of obligation under those community use provisions. I will also be discussing some of these nuances for airport land use agreements and the golf course management agreement later tonight. This discussion will provide the council and the public with a clear understanding of our current arrangements, operational responsibilities, and any implications for the city. And I want to thank members of the public who alerted us to the nesting eagles. You are helping us ensure their protection. We recognize that the golf course is located within habitats used by nesting bald eagles and golden eagles. And to ensure compliance, the city will be asking the private contractor, Eagle Golf Course Management, Inc., to monitor eagle activity and maintain appropriate buffer zones, implement restrictions, and possibly temporarily close holes around their nests should it be deemed necessary. This approach allows the private contractor at the golf course to operate while fully complying with all wildlife protections. Finally, to ease concerns, any future development on airport property will be subject to all regulatory reviews, including NEPA environmental compliance and FAA determinations. Neither the city nor the FAA has the authority to waive these requirements, nor do we want to. And we are years away from that step anyways. And finally, later this evening, Gina and I, our finance director, will present several funding options, including bonding scenarios or cash, the upcoming library reconstruction, along with our implicating property tax implications. The purpose of this discussion is to provide the council and the community with clear, transparent information on how different investment levels affect long-term financial planning. And I want to thank everyone who has supported the library through this process. Thank you.
Any questions, comments towards to the city manager? Victoria? All right, hearing nothing.
Oh, here, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Are you there?
Does Councilmember Hudson want to go first?
Councilman Hudson, do you have a question or comment, please?
I do. Sorry, it re-muted. My question was, so you're asking that the current contractor with the golf course to review where the nests are and possibly close those holes?
Since they are responsible for the land at the golf course, yes, they would be charged with ensuring compliance with the Eagles. I don't know if that entails closing the holes. That was just an option. Of course, we would work with all of our wildlife conservation partners on that. It's just more of a transparency thing that letting the constituents know that the city is taking this seriously and that the contractor will be charged with ensuring that these nests are taken care of.
Councilwoman Hudson, any follow-up?
Oh, no, thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll follow up a little bit on that. I appreciate all the information that was provided tonight by the city manager that we have anyway. I hope it's out there for everybody. So if they're going to be charged with making sure the Eagles are safe and all those kind of things, that would be addressed. I don't think that's addressed in their current contract that expires at the end of the year, but that'd be addressed in the next in the next contract that would be signed and come forward.
We can certainly add that in there. No, it's not a provision. However, it would be an implied operations agreement that you have to comply with all federal and state regulations. It doesn't necessarily need to specifically call out in each contract that you have to do wildlife mitigation. It would just be implied that you have to follow all state and federal regulations.
Follow-up?
Yeah, follow up. Yeah, historically, adhering to those things can cost a great deal of money. I mean, there's total subcontractors that do nothing but look for and count beluga wells and operations that happen on the Seward Highway between Anchorage and Girdwood. So, I mean, it should be, if it's going to be a cost, and I don't know if it is, but if it's going to be a cost that is incurred by Eagle Golf Course Management or some other company down the road, then it should be looked at and addressed as such, I would imagine. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, moving on, my report. Last Thursday, Respect had a meeting at the depot regarding the road, the parking, the pedestrian and parking issues around Palmer. And there were about, I want to say, close to 40 people that attended. And I think it was, they had roundtable discussions. I think a lot of information was passed. And I'm kind of anxiously waiting to see how Respect comes back and provide us with the information on that. I did see something online that they said that the majority of the people were okay with the parking currently, that they were basically saying there's really not a parking problem, it's more of a walking problem. And I think that they weren't in favor of reducing or eliminating any parking restrictions. So, and I'm sure there'll be more to follow. On Friday, at Palmer High School, they had a Red Ribbon Week celebration, or ceremony, I should say. Our fire department was there, DEA was there, Butte Fire Department was there. I represented our city, and we talked about, and Red Ribbon Week is about drugs, about the use thereof, and the main speaker gave the story of how her son was found deceased behind a dumpster that he had ingested one pill, and he had died. And that was back in 2021. So that was kind of what everything revolved around, is, trying to get the younger kids to understand that if you're going to take any medication, make sure it comes from a pharmacy and it doesn't come from your friends, because things are, people are getting smarter, and when you look at a fake pill and a real pill, they look really pretty close. And so, only take them from the pharmacy, don't take them from your buddies. On a better note, Friday evening, I'll call it the spooky skate at the ice rink was held. Started at 2:45 for younger kids and went all the way through 9 o'clock for everybody. And there were about 100 people that came to skate, and the majority of them were in costume. And they had special light at the nighttime. They had special lights, spooky music, and when the older kids came, they changed it to more hip hop kind of music. But everybody had a good time. And this weekend, there's a hockey tournament there from hockey teams around the state: Fairbanks, Kenai, Soldotna, Wasilla, Palmer, and it's Thursday through Saturday. Palmer plays at 8:15 every night. It's called the Stars and Stripes Showdown. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend, Thursday through Saturday, please go to the ice rink. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for that report. Appreciate that. Hey, good, go Palmer hockey. That's awesome. Hey, I did want to touch on your proclamations tonight, and thank you for doing that. And more importantly, thank you for, I don't think it's slacking at all, for your 26 years of service and your family's continual 87 years of service. I have heard that one time before, and it's the numbers blow my mind. I'm a number wonk, and continuous service from 1935 to 2022 is baffling and should be applauded. So thank you for your service, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
I just wanted to remind everybody that we do have a vacant council seat. The date was extended until this Friday for applications. I've received 9 applications so far. And Mr. Mayor and I will get together and figure out what the next step is and get somebody appointed. That's all I have for today. Any questions?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I zoned out for a second there. Did you say you've received 5 applications?
9
Oh, 9.
applications.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the clerk? Moving on. Madam Attorney?
Yes, good evening. I wanted to let you know that ordinance 25006 will, since we're changing the verbiage, and that will be amended, it will need to be reintroduced at the November 18th meeting, and so I will be providing some various options for that verbiage for the council's consideration, and then the corresponding notes for each, and that'll be on the November 18th agenda.
Thank you. Is that the sum total?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Now we will move into audience participation.
We don't have the sheet, so if you're.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Please, when you sign in, state your name, and I'll limit you to 3 minutes per person. Council meeting rules protect your right to testify and be heard even if others in the room disagree with you. Council meeting rules also ensure that those attending can express their views if they do not interfere with the rights of others to see and hear the proceedings. At all times, order and decorum will be maintained in keeping with the civility and dignity of the legislative process. And to that, that I would ask that there be no applause during any participation. Please be respectful during audience participation. No disruptions to city business or threats of any kind will be allowed. Individuals who cannot follow these guidelines will be removed. Any threats against others could result in criminal prosecution. Please state your name and 3 minutes, sir.
Good evening. My name is John Sherrock.
I promise this isn't coming out of your time, but can you turn the mic on for me super quick? You just hit the button
Yeah,
on the
hold
bottom
that.
till the screen lights up.
About 3 seconds or so, and then you'll get a green light.
Green line?
Yep, you should be good. Thank you.
Good evening again. John Sherrock's my name. The FAA's own policies make a clear distinction between documented need and speculation. The airport manager has stated that the golf course land may be needed in the next 10 years as part of the new airport master plan. However, FAA Order 5190.6B, Chapter 22.6 requires the City of Palmer, as the airport sponsor, to demonstrate that the property is needed for current or foreseeable aeronautical purposes. The word foreseeable does not mean possibly someday. It means there must be measurable, data-driven evidence that the airport will actually require the land within the planning horizon. Right now, that evidence does not exist. The airport has empty hangars, vacant lease lots, and multiple non-aviation tenants on airport property. Currently leased for non-aeronautical purposes include the Fire Training Center, the Fire Station number 36, the Nutrition Services Facility, the City Building Department, and the offices of the Community Development Director and the Fire Chief. In addition, operations have not increased, and the airport continues to operate at or near break even while the golf course generates a consistent surplus which goes back to the city. By every practical measure, the land is not needed today, and there is no verified data showing it will be needed in the next decade. For those reasons, it would be premature and unsupported under FAA policy to classify the golf course property as future aviation land until the city can demonstrate actual foreseeable demand. The FAA cannot require and would not approve reclassifying land that serves as an established compatible public purpose that also directly benefits the city and its citizens. By approving and maintaining the above leases by FAA standards, the city has already acknowledged that the airport has more land than it requires for aviation operations. The City of Palmer owns the golf course and the land, not the airport, not the FAA. The data shows the golf course pays its own way. FAA rules allow it, and the community supports it. What's missing is a willingness to put it to a fair vote. Please don't table the discussion and allow the release of obligation to move forward for full council consideration. And I believe the facts are clear. The golf course is worth saving.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Julia Grimes.
Hello, Mayor Cooper, Manager Zirkle, and members of the City Council. My name is Julia Grimes, and I'm 13 years old. I came to talk to you about why you should keep the golf course open. To start, Palmer Golf Course has beautiful scenery and is the only course where you can see a glacier from the tee box at Palmer. It's at hole number 6. Next, they have the best Snack Shack hot dogs at hole number 9. Also, Palmer Golf Course has the best staff. I know all of them by name. Please don't ask me to pick a favorite because they're all so special to me. Palmer welcomes all different types of people to play there. For example, 3 generations of my family enjoy playing there every year. My grandpa, my mom, and me. Now I would like to talk to you about my history with the golf course. I started playing golf in 2017 when I was 5 years old. My grandpa took me to my first junior golf clinic at Palmer Golf Course. That's where I met my instructor, Joe Butler. I have worked with him ever since. A lot of people don't know this, but Palmer has a great junior program. They offer a free bucket of range balls to any junior player. Also, kids can golf for free when they go out with their parents. Everyone I met through golf was so encouraging that I decided to start competing in tournaments. Now I travel to play in tournaments in places like Arizona, Washington, and Utah. I also compete in the women's division in our tournaments here in Alaska. I dream of playing golf in college, perhaps beyond. Palmer Golf Course is a really important place for me to practice and prepare. I am telling you about my experience so you understand how important the golf course is to the young people in this community, where the kids play to have fun, spend time with their families, or compete. The golf course helps make Palmer a great place to live. I respectfully urge you to do everything in your power to save Palmer Golf Course. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I guess it's appropriate for me not to challenge you to play golf.
Bert Barrow.
Benji just said my name, Bert Barrow. I'd like to address the golf course dilemma also. I wonder if 10 years is truly a long-term plan, because what about the 10 years after that? You know, I'd like to jump up 10 years after this current master plan. Does the airport the airport commission ever envision a time when the city will outgrow our current airport? This seems to be a very common problem. In my own personal experience, I can remember driving up I-25 in Denver and having an airport go over or a jet go over the freeway at Stapleton Airport, which they moved out of town and became DIA. And as far out of town as it was in the day, it's incredible to think it's actually catching up to DIA too. Even closer to home, the Wasilla Airport was also swallowed up by a city that grew from a little airport at the edge of town to where they had to move it out of town. I wonder if Anchorage enjoys having Merrill Field in its current location, surrounded by businesses and residential communities. I didn't have to do any research, but I can remember 3 incidents of unplanned landings out of Merrill Field. One of them landed on the soccer field during a game, and one of them lit a business on fire. It was either on Carluck or Latouche, I'm not sure which street. Our airport landing areas currently have the potential to fly over 5 schools, 4 ball fields, and senior citizen housing. Eventually, our airport will have to move. So is long-term planning really considering that after this 10-year plan, the next 10-year plan might say, we need to move to a Matsu regional airport or something? Let's think ahead, further ahead, and not pave over a fantastic city asset with the golf course, only to plan for a future airport to be somewhere out of town. That is truly the definition of cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Thank you.
Joel Stefanski?
That's right. My name's Joel Stefanski. Been living here for 42 years and a resident just outside of Palmer city limits. I've been involved with the golf course since inception. I remember Herman Brothers were out there ripping and tearing and carving that beautiful landscape into something very beautiful, and that the community has thrived around for 35 years, and I'd like to see it for another 135 years. As we know, FAA has guidelines all across America. FAA makes exceptions. Hundreds and hundreds of airfields make exceptions. This is a gem. It's one of the many things that make Palmer great. And to eliminate this gem would be a travesty. Let's put 2 flowers in a pot. Well, the biggest flower is the people in this community that make this greater Palmer area beautiful. And the volunteerism and the man hours and women hours have gone into a thing like the golf course. Hundreds and hundreds of donated hours over the last 35 years. We tried to eliminate Matsu miners. They lost twice, and you're going to lose on this too, because of the community involvement that makes Palmer great. You eliminate a gem like this, you all go down in history as being very narrow-minded people. This is a beautiful asset to this community, just like all other parts of Palmer. I hate pitting one group against the other. I love aviation. We can make this happen, and I know you people in this board are going to make this happen in a positive thing. And I get offended when people say that someone has to do this chore or that chore, when ultimately the city of Palmer is responsible for a lot of things. But there's a man in the back room here that really has made this golf course purr along, and his people and his staff. And he should be honored for what he's done for the city and have a positive cash flow for the city, and not chastised and throw roadblocks at. And I'd like to keep reminding you, this is a community. All parts of this community are important, and the golf course is one of them. And I'd like to see you guys fight for this, because I know you're capable of it, doing that. And thank you, Jim, for jumping in, and Sherry, you too. I worked with your husband for 15 years at MEA. He was a great PR guy. And thank you for taking on. I want to see the ship get uprighted. Right now, City of Palmer is having a tough time. Let's be positive. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Nina Collier. So hopefully I didn't butcher your name too bad.
You're fine, Kohler, for sure, thank you.
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry, I had to like stretch it out for a minute.
Well, yeah, what it does is we can't get a good visual on the, for everybody.
I'd like to actually just start with a point of contention, when it was mentioned that the Palmer Golf Course is solely for profit, and only individuals that can afford it or pay for it are able to benefit from it. And as Julia put out, that's not true. We have so many different scholarship opportunities and programs for veterans, for Special Olympics, for children. When I had to medically retire as a mental health therapist, my husband and I had been members of the course for years and years. I've now been an employee there for a few years now. It became my safe place, my family, my home. These people are amazing. And Mayor Cooper, you already made me emotional earlier with veterans like that. But there it is, it's a family. It's a place where I've seen young women go and grow and gain confidence. I have seen uncomfortable teenagers become Special Olympics gold medalists. I have seen I've seen 3 generations, toddlers, fathers, grandfathers, all playing golf together. I've seen couples on dates that then get engaged and now they're married. The amazing amount of camaraderie and different things, and it's just a safe place to be as a female. How many times have you gone to the gym or something like that and you feel awkward, like a man staring at you, or they have their phone up, and you never feel that at PGC. PGC, we are all there in it together, and if anybody's being inappropriate, another male will step up and not try to mansplain or anything, but we all have each other's backs and we have the best interests of each other. It's incredibly healthy for mental health, especially the elderly population that we have. There are so many of some of my favorite older guys that come back every spring and talk about how, oh man, I just waited all winter to get back to the family here. I couldn't wait to see my buddies here. It really pulls people through dark winters sometimes, even if you can't snowboard. I've seen a lot. The cart kids, little teenagers, working their way up, meeting people, interacting with individuals from all different professions from around Palmer, and kind of getting an idea, oh, maybe I want to do that when I grow up, or maybe I should study that more. Oh wow, I really learned a lot about this. There's such a connection with the people there. It would be an absolute devastation to our community. This went away. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Kelly Shumate.
Hello. Palmer Kelly Shumate, Palmer Chamber. I'm just here to give you guys a quick report on some upcoming events that the Chamber is having. Shop Palmer starts on November 20th. It is a great way for the community to get out and support our local businesses. Followed by that, we have Colony Days, which is December 12th, 13th, and 14th in downtown Palmer. Our Colony Christmas Luncheon is December 10th. At 11:30 at the Depot. You guys are all welcome to come to that. We launch all of our events that day and talk about the events that are happening at Colony Christmas. Some of the events that are happening this year is Santa and the reindeer are going to be there. We'll have the markets, of course, the parade, fireworks. Everyone is welcome to come downtown. Most of those events are free to attend. Also, all the businesses do their own events also. There will be a schedule put out in early December for those. Anybody that would like to participate in events can register through the chamber website. And also with Sean Palmer, the list will be out on our website and on Facebook shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to come forward? So, Randy, you're next. No.
Palmer Bar. Yeah, the whole golf course thing, both entities, they're owned by the city of Palmer. And it all comes down to is what you guys on the board decide to do and what the city. If you guys are unsure, put it to vote to the residents. It'll suck because I wouldn't be able to vote. But it's, please think about the community. I heard some points talking about, yeah, when is the golf or the airport going to become so big that it's not, if the golf course, even if the golf course wasn't there, and the company running it, you guys would probably find another company to run it. That's what I'm saying. The golf course is going to be there. Luckily, we have a good person running it right now. So please think about that. And we need to find out what the future. It doesn't seem like the airport is looking at its own growing entity and not necessarily in line with what the community is growing. So that needs to be brought up and looked at. Whether or not the airport is doing the will of the city council and the community, or if they're trying to become their own thing. We have too many things statewide that are supposedly state-owned. Alaska Railroad's one of them that does their own thing. We do not want the airport in this community to be doing its own thing. They answer to you. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Wes. Mr. Jones, are you coming forward? Please.
Hello. Good evening.
Good.
My name is
Yeah,
Zahida
can you
Cook.
make sure you pull the mic a little bit closer to you? Yeah.
Is this better? Okay. Hello. Good evening. My name is Zahida Cook, and I'm here as a proud Mat-Su-Borough resident for the last 21 years. I understand the difficult situation Palmer faces with federal airport funding, but I urge you to explore alternatives that don't come at the cost of the Palmer Golf Course. This course is more than just land. It's a place where families gather, youth grow, and visitors experience the beauty of our town. I've had days where getting a tee time was nearly impossible because it's so loved. And the views there from the course are unreal. The airport shares that same magic. I've skydived from it myself, and I've overheard tourists from other countries call it the most beautiful jump they've ever done. Both the course and the airport offer world-class experiences and are unique assets that make Palmer special. I don't have all the answers, but I truly hope the council does everything possible to find a fair and balanced solution that preserves what makes the city of Palmer, Alaska, at its best. Thank you.
Could we get you to spell your last name, please?
Cook.
Cook? All right. Thank you.
Do you need my first name?
Yes.
That's what I thought you need. It's Zahide. Zahida.
I was way off. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Anyone else wishing to come forward? Seeing no one, we'll close this public hearing. Audience participation, sorry. Moving on to public hearings, or we'll open up a public hearing on resolution number 26-001, adopting the City of Palmer employee pay plan, sorry. Anybody wishing to come forward and speak on that resolution, please feel free. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing on that. What are the wishes of the council? This is the second public hearing on this. We have discussion and we can vote. Yes, sir.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I just want to see if I track on the pay plan. The pay plan and the documents presented in the agenda packet, they represent a 2.5% increase in each cell. That's on the pay plan.
That's correct. We have a 2.5% COLA increase for all employees.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments on the pay plan? Are we ready for a vote? Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantra,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
and Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
It's a passed.
Thank you. Second public hearing, resolution number 26-002, adopting the 2026 fee schedule for the city of Palmer for the fiscal year beginning January 2026 and ending December 31st, 2026. Wishes of the council? Sorry. That's why you're here. I'd like to open up a public hearing. Anybody wishes to come forward to speak about the resolution 26002, the fee schedule, please come forward. Thank you. Seeing no one, we'll close it, bring it back to the council. Wishes of the council, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Are there any discussion? Any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'm a little, I wouldn't say worried, but just, it's early November. I'm not sure if we necessarily need to be passing these things with one of our council members missing. I feel kind of bad that she doesn't have a chance to be part of it. But more specific to the fee schedule, or make sure I'm actually looking at the right. Okay, on the fee schedules, I don't want to get into, how to run the ICE Center or how to run certain things, but I just, I don't know if the public really has enough time to really wrap their brain around it, because I think we barely do. And, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, I'll go to page 29 of 66, if you will. And that's the event center piece. Some of these things, there doesn't seem to be a real rational thought process on how these increases came about. I understand it's probably all about trying to even things out and make the revenue work for what the MTA Event Center costs, but I think sometimes you provide good community service, whether it breaks even or whether it doesn't break even, whether that be an airport or a MTA Event Center. And I just worry things, Public Skate is going to go from $5 to $8. That's a 60% increase. Freestyle 10-pass punch card goes from $25 to $75. That's a 200% increase. Some of these things, a skate rental 10-pass punch card goes from $25 to $45. That's an 80% increase. Some of these things just don't seem to jive. And as far as, should we, I don't know why we're treating some things different than others. I'll pick on myself here for one. Public skate for seniors. I can get the same 10 passes I got last year for $35. Didn't go up at all. I don't understand the rationale of that. And I'll take that page as a primary example. I don't grasp it as a person who does financials kind of for a living. I just don't understand what drove the increases of different percentages and different things, and how we came to these numbers, I guess.
Sure. So many of the increases were determined to come into alignment with other regional ice rinks here. So they are not above what you would find at the Menard Center. They are in alignment and often even below what you would find anywhere else around here, even with the proposed fee schedules now. As far as the senior skate night, I don't know why that one changed, but I'm assuming it was because it was in alignment with what other regional ice rinks are doing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think she means why that one didn't change, because it's just, okay, it's just in line with what. Well, that makes some sense. I didn't see that, any kind of documentation. I just think, I'm just kind of saddened by the sticker shock. And to be honest, I don't use the facility. It's just, I know a lot of people do, as represented by the mayor's report, having 100 people show up the other night for the spooky skate. I know a lot of people do use it, and I just think some of these things that are going up, 50, 60, 80, 200% seem tough to wrap your brain around. So anyway, I'll just leave it at that, I guess.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I also had a question about this one. The good for 1 year for the public skate for the 10 passes, I guess I just want to say I think that does make sense. A lot of times, like, younger people have more opportunities to go, 10 times in a year to use that pass. But specifically what worries me about the senior 10 passes is that not all seniors are in the same situation, and there's a lot going on right now. Changes, in government and finances, and to do good for 1 year for the senior pass specifically, I think that one does concern me a little bit. And then I also was just wondering if there had been any more conversation with the department heads that we spoke to last time regarding different items on the schedule.
To date, I have not received any budget amendment requests from the city council, so my answer to that would be no.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
just a thought on the fee schedule, specifically with the MTA center. I don't go there real frequently, but I wonder if rates have not been raised for quite some time, because they seem to me quite low as far as what they're being raised from. I didn't know if city manager had any information on that as far as when the last raises were made.
I don't know when the last raises were made. I can get you that information. However, I can tell you that historically Palmer rates have been much lower than our regional competition. And these fee schedules are more in alignment with what the community as a whole is used to paying. It would be prudent of us to financially align with what other competitors are doing, because it has lost revenue if we continue to offer a greatly reduced rate when all of our costs, materials, labor, all of that is going up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. For the city manager, do you know what do we know what the annual revenue is for the MTA Event Center, what the annual outlay is? Do you know how far underwater we are in that particular facility?
We can get that for you. I don't know if they're underwater or if they're making a profit. We can certainly line that out for you. I see Gina, she's writing that down.
Does our community development director have that information?
Yeah, I don't have my budget book in front of me, but I can go grab one real quick.
The question would be, does the MTA Event Center make money or lose money?
It is in a deficit right now, but the goal is to break even in the next 1 to 2 years, which is why we're adjusting our fee schedule. As the city manager commented, we have historically been significantly below our regional competition, and in doing so, we're adjusting those rates to make it more comparable. We're still going to be under everybody else, and cost effective for the community. But the point is to just bring it up to standard so we can bring our facility up to standard and be more competitive, to offer better and more proficient services like we do with, we just had on Friday, having skate time. So a lot of those adjustments are just that. So eliminations of shinny times and rates and that, it shows that people will pay a rate no matter what time of day it is, so that you'll see that reflected in that fee schedule as well.
Thank you.
Mayor? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rhodes, it makes the facility more competitive by charging more, because why? Because the facility will, when it has more revenue, it'll Zamboni the ice more often, it'll do what? How does charging more make the facility more competitive?
Well, as we discussed last council meeting, there was significant not deferred maintenance that was happening, and so in order to get ahead and have two compressors running, these things, instead of dipping into the general fund, like I said, we're trying to make the MTA Event Center break even and eventually run at a surplus. And so by doing that, charging more, we have more money to put back into the MTA Event Center, including an outdoor rink that we're looking to establish, more outreach, and then bringing up our facility up to standard that can be more competitive. The goal of my office is to create more people in Palmer and stop having everybody go to Wasilla. So nice little sister competition on my part. Make Palmer a city that people come and stay and instead of going elsewhere because of their facilities.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This isn't for Mr. Oates as much as just a general question. So what I think would be beneficial to see is not just for the MTA Event Center, but for everything, where are we in terms of revenue produced, and is things paying for itself? And I think one of the reasons I have that kind of thought is I scroll 4 pages down away from the MTA Event Center, and I see we're going to increase weekly refuse collection by $1 per month. I think, okay, we're going to increase skate rentals for kids and adults by $3 every time they go on the ice, but we're increasing refuse collection for a month by $1. I mean, it just things seem out of whack to me. And if you're saying, if there's a way to know that, hey, the MTA Event Center is $100,000 down, or it's $20,000 down, or it's $200,000 down, it might make these increases a little more palatable. And also, I mean, it looks to me like you go through and say, we're going to raise that thing by $1, we're going to raise that by $5, we're going to raise that by 15. There doesn't seem to be any consistency to it. And I don't know if it's because you can go, hey, we have 1,000 people going to public skate. We only have 22 seniors getting reduced rates for a 10-punch card. I just wish we had more data to say this is why we're raising the rates the way we are, because we need to make up a $60,000 deficit, or not just because hey, we're even now. Let's go out and make another $60,000 off people. So I don't know. I just have a hard time. I have a hard time wrapping my brain around it.
So Deputy Mayor, I would accept a motion to postpone this to next meeting to have it discussed at Committee of the Whole.
I'll make a motion to postpone 26002 till November 18th.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara?
Yes.
Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
Councilmember Collins?
No.
It passes. It'll be postponed till next meeting.
Thank you. Moving on, resolution, public hearing for resolution number 26003, adopting the 2026 fine schedule for the city of Palmer for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026 and ending December 31st, 2026. Anyone who'd like to come forward and speak on this public hearing, this resolution, please do so. Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the council, close the public hearing. Wishes of the council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, yes, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Similar but less vociferous on this one, but I think we brought this up a year or two ago, so I won't put it on a fairly new city manager, but the fine amounts for second and third offenses for just various things. I know a couple of them have changed, like junk vehicles. So when I see that's doubled, I ask, okay, have we had a thing where we went from 20 junk vehicles in the city of Palmer to 80, or why did that particular one get increased? I think this has been brought up in times in the past that, you know, how do we come at these figures, and what kind of revenue or what kind of usage are they actually getting? Because I see the same figure for, selling a poison that's not labeled versus minors out past curfew. I have to wonder, how do we come up with these dollar amounts, and do we have a idea that it's we're using it 20 times a year, we're using it 300 times a year, or why do we come up with these dollars amounts of 75, 150, and 300 for most things? And then why was the junk vehicles one increased, and the couple that actually were increased, actually were amended? I'm just curious why the ones that were amended were increased.
Department directors are given discretion over their fines and fees schedules. Some of them changed because there's an issue. I don't know the exact number of junk cars that are towed each year, but it is also an incentive for people to actually keep the city clean. The revenue stream from these fines these fines is relatively small. It's negligible. It's more of an enforcement tool. Like, hey, if you're selling poison without a label, you can get fined. Practical use of that fine and catching the person is pretty small, but if you do catch someone selling poison on the side of the street without a label, there should be repercussions, and that's why it's in there. I can't argue that some of those things probably should be removed and updated, looked at, refined, but we kind of went through that already. We can comb through it again, but second we remove something, we could find something else to do. It's just kind of, the department directors looked at their fines and fee schedules, updated as they saw fit, some of the most problematic areas.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a comment as far as I looked through those fines, one thing that I noticed was it seems like those things that had gone up are things that actually cost the city something to deal with those. So particularly like the junk vehicles being $100 and whatnot for, depending on the offense, seems like if anything, it's probably lower than would actually cost the city to pay a person to get out there with a tow truck, get the thing towed, done forever. And whereas it seems like the things that don't perhaps cost the city money, whether in terms of labor or equipment to take care of those things, were not increased. And so to me, it seemed like those things that were increased were appropriately done. So.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do we know how many junk vehicles Palmer took care of in 2024 or 2025, if we have data for this year?
Well, data from this year would be inconclusive because we have a few more months left, so we can get that to you in 2026. As far as 2024 junk vehicles, no, I don't have that number off the top of my head, but I'm sure we can get that to you.
I'm okay with this one.
Any other discussion? Councilwoman Hudson?
None for me.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantra,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
It's unanimous and approved.
Thank you. This will be a public hearing for resolution number 26004, adopting the 5-year capital improvement program for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026, ending December 31st, 2026. I'll open that public hearing. Anybody wishing to come forward to speak on the capital improvement program, please do so. You're just shuffling in your seat. Get a little more comfortable. All right, close the public hearing and bring it back to the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? I do have one item. City manager has been discussed with this, and it's to move, in there you'll see under Public Works, the CIP is for a Cedar Avenue upgrade, and it's listed at 2027. I'd like to have that move forward to 2026. We have, reallocated monies from one program to other programs, things that we haven't purchased, things that we haven't done, and that gives us the opportunity to upgrade the Cedar Avenue. So. I guess
Second.
Yes, sir.
Is there a second for that?
Yeah. Any discussion about that? So we have a motion to move?
I have a motion to amend
Yes.
Cedar Avenue project from 2025 to 2026?
2027 to 2026.
2027 to 2026. And it was moved by the mayor and seconded by Alcantra?
Yes.
Okay. Are we ready to vote?
Yes, please.
Sorry, I just want to make sure I had it.
This is just for that move, that one move.
Mayor Carrington, or I'm sorry, Councilmember Carrington?
Yes.
Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantra?
Yes.
Councilmember Collins?
Yes.
And Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
The amendment is approved.
Now back to the main motion as amended, adopting the 5-year capital improvement plan. Any discussion on that one? Please call the roll.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Yes, at the last council meeting, there had been a few things that some of the department, one of the department directors wasn't sure about. So, do we need a motion to ask for those things to be reviewed? Were those things reviewed? Are we keeping them on the 5-year plan? That's the questions I have.
Well, I think that we would just keep them on a 5-year plan. We always have the availability to come back and readjust that. Because particularly some are 2026 and some go out to 2030. So would you need any more discussion on particular projects?
I just think that all I'm trying to say is that when we pass this and we put it out to the community as this is our improvement plan that, that we want to see in the next 5 years, and there's things on there that, we haven't talked about or that we don't even know what they are, how are we committing to the community that this is what we're going to focus on if the department director doesn't even know what it is?
And do you have a specific that you remember?
The aeronautical campground for over $1 million.
That was removed.
Okay, so those things are being removed in this new one that we're passing?
Yeah, that was removed last meeting, that the airport manager said that was not necessary to have that the campground in there, so that will be removed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Collins?
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington?
Yes.
Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantra,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
It's approved
Thank you.
as amended.
Yeah, thank you. This is a public hearing for a resolution number 26005, adopting a budget for the city of Palmer, Alaska for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026, ending December 31st, 2026. Anyone who wishes to come forward and speak on the budget, please come forward at this time. Seeing no one rushing forward, I'll close public hearing and bring it back to the council. Wishes of the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah, just to make sure I'm tracking, looks like our revenues are exceeding our expenditures by about $1.36 million, and that also drives the amount of money we have for other endeavors we may talk about tonight, correct?
Yes. I would like to make an amendment to this, that currently, at last meeting, the fire chief wanted to make a special services specialist full-time at the fire department. It and because it's this individual spreads their wealth, if you will, through other different departments, that is kind of, I'll use the word violation of the contract that we have with the borough. So what we're doing, the motion is to move this sports services specialist position from the fire department to basically under the city manager, and then she will make sure that that's to realign the administrative support resources for improved efficiency throughout the departments. Any other? So it's actually what we're doing is transferring $78,000 from the fire department proposed budget to the city manager's proposed budget to fund that position and its associated costs. Now, if you remember, the total was around $130,000, and the remaining amount of money will stay with the fire department because there are things that this individual will be doing strictly for fire department, and that is reimbursable by the borough. Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, what did you call this position?
It's called Sports Services Specialist position.
This would be Mr. Goodman's position at the fire department. And to be clear, he's part-time right now, and the intent with all the workload with our other departments, including Palmer Police and Public Works, is we now need to outclass him to full-time. And per the contract for the borough, we don't have a full-time reimbursement schedule for that. And since we're upclassing him, the city, we have to pay the second half of it, which is why it's moving underneath my office, because the fire department can't legitimately say that they need a full-time position for him. He's still currently operated and supported with the borough funds at part-time, but as the city as a whole, we need him full-time.
And it does not increase the overall proposed budget. It just transfers from one department to the other. Yes, sir.
You just hit the nail on the head, Mr. Mayor. It's basically a $78,000 transfer from the fire department to the city manager's budget, and the expenditures of $24,655,467 remain unchanged.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Yes. Okay, so we'll vote on the amendment to this, to move the special support services specialist from the fire department to the city manager.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantra,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
It's approved.
Thank you. Now on to the main motion as as amended, adopting a budget for the city of Palmer, Alaska for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, ending December 31st, 2026. Any further discussion on that? Yes, ma'am. Anybody? That you? That's you.
That's me.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Didn't know who that was. Okay, let's call the roll, please.
On Resolution 26-005 as amended,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantra,
Yes.
and Councilmember Carrington.
Yes.
It's approved.
Thank you. Moving on to action memorandum number 25091, approving a council community grant to Greater Palmer Chamber of Commerce for a staff recommended amount of $2,000 for Colony Christmas 2025. Wishes of the council.
Move to
Move
approve.
to approve.
Second.
Second.
All right, perfect. Any discussion, any questions about what this is for, what they're going to be doing with it? Sure, come on up, please.
I was going to
Question.
answer a question.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
No, you never question Colony Christmas. That's like mom apple pie and Chevrolet, as the old dad would say. My question more was, this is for $2,000. There's going to be $148 remaining in this account. Does that just carry over into next year? Is that all that happens with this 148 that's remaining?
Yes.
Okay.
I can give you guys a little feedback
Yeah.
on the Christmas lights. So in like 2010, 2011, where we weren't actually able to figure out which year it was, Palmer was having some struggles. A water main broke on Colony Way and Alaska Street, and they had to dig up the road, and people were having a hard time getting downtown. And the frontiersman put out an article, and at the end of the article, he said, the last person out of Palmer, turn off the lights. So Palmer rallied, and the chamber rallied with Palmer, and they came up with a theme of that year as the lights are still on in Palmer. And that's when they started hanging the lights in downtown Palmer. Since then, the chamber has been funding those lights. And we've done it every year, and of course, prices are going up, and we would like to continue to do this. We're requesting support to help continue. It's an important tradition. It keeps downtown festival and welcoming during Colony Christmas, and we would greatly appreciate any support we can get for those. We do get sponsorships and other things also, but like I said, the costs keep going up and up.
So are you saying the $2,000 part of that is used to purchase more lights?
No, it's to hang the lights, to maintain the lights, and have them removed at the end of the season.
Is the chamber responsible for the figures that get put up, and the city does that?
I believe the city puts them up. We store them, but the city puts them up.
Cool, all right.
And these are just the lights that are on the building, not the lights that are on the pavilion side, on the trees. It's just the building side.
Thank you. Any other questions?
That was
Oh, I'm sorry.
my only question was that you guys are just doing the stuff on the buildings on the business side of the street.
Yep, we go all the way down from Poppy Lane and Elmore, all the way down to the Klosky building.
Okay.
Councilwoman Hudson, do you have any questions?
No, I'm always happy to support Colony Christmas, so I think it'll be great.
All right, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Alcantra.
Yes.
It's approved.
Thank you. Moving on to action memorandum 25-093, authorizing the city manager to enter into a one-year agreement to purchase healthcare insurance coverage with Primera through the city's health insurance broker, USI, for insurance coverage for the period of January 1st through December 31st, 2026. Wishes the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. I'd like to ask the city manager any questions. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a one-year agreement, is that because this is a continuation of a longer agreement, or is that because it's the longest tenure we could get with only a 2.8% or a 3% increase?
Gina? Come forward, please.
You can come forward on that. It is reflective of only a 3% increase. We're pretty lucky on that one too. Other municipalities are getting closer to 10%.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Annually, they negotiate. We have a insurance brokerage firm that we use, USI, and annually they negotiate the rates with insurance companies.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Do you know how many years have our employees been insured through Primera or through this agreement?
We switched companies in April of 2020.
And we'll follow up. And so the answer to my question is the reason it's only for calendar year 2026 is because of that 3% increase. They weren't willing to, we couldn't do a 3-year deal at 3% a year or anything like that?
When we first started out, they did. We actually had I think we had like a 2 or 3 year agreement where 2-year agreement where they held the rates flat. Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments, concerns? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Carrington?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Collins?
Yes.
Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
It is approved.
Thank you. Moving on, we have no unfinished business, no new business on the record. Records of items placed on the table.
I have documents from City Manager Zirkle regarding the upcoming conversation under the committee level.
Thank you. All right, next item, committee of the whole. I need a motion to enter into.
Nancy, just take a break.
I'm sorry, all right. We'll take a 5+ minute break. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Hey, there's one more. Yeah.
There is one more audience participation before committee of the whole.
My glasses got fogged up.
Yeah. Don't worry, there's enough of us.
Yeah. It's like, I want to move on.
I know.
I've been offered to go drink beer at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
After the election.
Yeah, we should. Although I won't be drinking beer for a while.
I'm sure. Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Sometimes just, audience participation is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or presence.
Presence.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. So your bike away? All put away now?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah.
I mean, the other day, like last week, it's like, damn, be out riding,
I know, right?
And then you wake up and you go, fuck this.
I know. It's like the other day it was like 45.
I know.
And I told Sarah, I said, well, in spring we ride in 45. It's like.
Yeah, but I don't want to go north because I'm going to run into snow.
Yeah. And you go south, it's all rain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Unless you get up on
so
the hill.
you get to go back and forth to Anchorage.
Yeah. It's like Kodiak. Just back and forth on one road.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. No, it's better with it.
Yeah.
They lowered the price on my track.
Oh, they did? What is it now?
I don't know for sure, but I was over there today because we had a board meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I know they lowered the price, but it is, I have no idea.
Well, I'm sure. Wasn't it like, was it 25 before? Something like that?
I think more like 27.
Yeah,
I mean, because they, they did 23, so.
Yeah.
I think it's more in line at 26 now.
Yeah.
So it's a good deal.
Yeah, I know.
All the maintenance is done through them.
Yeah. as I look through my bank account, my kids and my nephew go, dude, you got that friggin' money. You can't take it with you. Spend that shit.
I know.
You know?
I know.
It's like, yeah, but oh, you don't want it? I was like, cool.
We have to have fun too.
I know. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't get. My opinion is they're going to get enough anyway. You know. I mean, they're going to get the house, and you know, and there's one house which is insane to me that we paid $194, and somebody's calling me what we moved for $650.
Jesus.
You know, and it's like, but where do I go?
I know. That's the problem today.
You know?
What used to buy, like our house, is $150. It's nowhere near that, but it's like $400. It's like you sit and even if you sold it for that, you can't move. You can't move anywhere.
You know?
Unless you go to fucking Mississippi or Louisiana.
I want to live there. You know, it's like I can't find an equivalent house here.
No, not at all. Not when the ones at the end of Eagle Street a couple of years ago were going for $350, and they're this freaking. I'd like to call the city council meeting back to order, please. And I'm sorry I missed it the first time. It's we'll open up audience participation. Anybody who wishes to come forth and speak again, audience participation, please come forward. State your name, 3 minutes.
You're probably gonna need to turn the mic on since it's been a little while.
Yeah, George, there's a green light there. No, just hold it in for 3. It's up. Green light's about halfway up. Yeah, just hold it for about 3 seconds or so. It should come on. You'll see it turn green.
Good evening, everybody. My name is George Collum. I am the golf course manager and the contractor. I've been there since 2001. I took over management for the golf course in 2007. My best friend Jeff Barnhart was the prior manager of the golf course, and he brought me from Las Vegas, where I was teaching golf and teaching elementary school at the time. And I had worked every summer, whether it was at Eagle Glen since 1981 when I started out as a cart kid, and worked my way up to a course marshal, and then moved over to Moose Run in 1990 and was the lead instructor at Moose Run through the 90s, and while I was also living in Las Vegas. So I never truly left Alaska, even though I was down in Las Vegas in the winters. I met my wife down there, and she was kind of sick and tired of me leaving all summer. And she said, well, what do you think about moving back to Alaska? And I said, absolutely. If you've been to Las Vegas, you know that it's a little crazy. And I was there during the biggest surge of people. They were gaining 5,000 people a month at that time. So I was happy to come home. I'm not a really emotional person, but some of the testimony tonight from some of the people at the golf course was really appreciated. Thank you, Julia Grimes. I know it's very tough to come up as a 13-year-old and speak in front of adults, especially on serious subjects, but she did a fantastic job, and she's an awesome person. Her mother is an amazing person. They're out there, they're so committed to the golf course, and also just it's really heartwarming to see a mother-daughter so connected by something, so and then all the other people that spoke for the golf course or spoke for me, I really appreciate that. It is a family over there. We not just the staff, but all the patrons that come to the golf course, they have a real connection with each other. I've been asked before why or what I like best about golf or running the golf course, and it's pretty easy. It's the people. That's why I do it. I do enjoy people. I like to make sure people have a good time. I always thought that I would have been a great bartender because I like to serve people. I like to make sure that they're enjoying themselves. I like to talk to the people. And so that's really what it's about for me. Golf's a love-hate relationship. It's certainly not the golf that is what's the biggest attraction for me, because one minute it's really good and the next minute not so good. So thank you, guys.
Thanks, George.
George is a hard act to follow. But Mike Molesky is my name. I live here in Palmer, Alaska. And over the years I've watched, and sometimes I've even participated in a review of something such as the fine schedule. Now, I appreciate Deputy Mayor John Alcantra's questions, and I appreciate also the city manager's response about, okay, directors took a look at it. But the reality is there are 25 different sections, hundreds of fines, and can believe that most of them have, for example, since in the past you've had a chance to think about library books, do you happen to know, it's a rhetorical question, do you happen to know what the fine is for a chewed corner on a book?
25 cents.
It's $2. Yes. Somebody knows because you perhaps has
Because
had
our
somebody
kids have done
chew
that.
the corners of a book. So it's per corner, $2 per corner. So I flipped through to try to see some of these, and I said, okay, I certainly believe that the librarians have not reviewed the chewed corner fine policy, come up with that number. Why 2 rather than 3? And that's my point. In order to really do it, I appreciate the delay, but the reality is between now and the next time there's a meeting, I do not really think that you're going to have a thoroughgoing review of every one of those fines in that schedule. That requires something akin to the parking study or survey. It's a big deal. And the really important question, I think, driving most of it is the answer, how much money. Now, I know that some of these fines are sitting there ready to be enacted, but the reality is how much money is coming from each one of those fines. But if you knew that, then you could say, well, maybe we've got to start doing something. So all I'm saying to you is that I appreciate that this job of trying to review a fine schedule and come up with anything more than here or there or a reference is really difficult. That's my impression anyway. So more power to you all. Thank you.
Anybody else?
West Arch Palmer Bar. Funny thing is just a little observation. He's writing his notes with a golf pencil. Which I think is funny. One of the things I wanted to talk about is think about the chamber talking about the lights. The chamber does a lot of community organizing in this community, which seems like the chamber is funded by a lot of the businesses, but these things seems like they would be in the realm of the city and to do, yet the chamber does them, and yet this is businesses supporting the chamber. Just something to think about. It's like when we talk about all our major events, it's the chamber that puts it on. And that's funded by the businesses. Please remember that when you're up there on the board. Maybe we can look at the city taking over and participating more in these events and taking over responsibility for them instead of one more thing that's putting on back onto the businesses. Just something to think about. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
John Sherrock again. I just wanted to point out something I caught here. And that is I believe it was the community development manager. Is that correct? I came up and spoke about the MTA Event Center. Everything he said should also apply to the golf course. He said essentially you keep the people of Palmer and Palmer for the good of Palmer. I can't agree with that more. Invest in the assets of Palmer for the benefit of Palmer. I can't not agree with that as well. Why do we not have the same attitude towards the golf course? It's already profitable. It needs no major improvements. The citizens love it. And there really needs to be no change. There's no demand for a change for the future of the golf course or the partnership that the airport and the golf course has. There's nothing there that demands immediate or anything that I can see for the future.
Thank you.
For listening to me, Dan.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come forward? Just can't hide in the back row. Seeing no one else, I'll close this audience participation. Moving on to the next item, committee of the whole. I would entertain a motion to enter into committee of the whole.
Mr. Mayor, I move we enter in committee of the whole.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All right, so now we are into committee of the whole, and the first item is library construction financing options, and I believe on your, in front of you is a item. Madam Manager.
That's right. So Gina and I have been working on several library funding scenario comparisons. So if you flip to the second page, you'll see the 20-year GO bond rate from 2005 to 2025 and their average rates that you'll see and why they've gone up. Some were pre-recession, higher inflation rates. In 2016 to 2019, you had a stable, moderate growth economy. That's just for demonstration purposes. You go to the next page, some of the assumptions that we made for this table is utilizing the full voter-approved bond amount of $10 million with a term of 20 years and the interest rate at 3.75%. The city must pay an annual debt service principal plus interest from property taxes, which requires a $725,000 a year per year bond payment. Again, these are as close to approximations as we can get. That means of the 3 mills that Palmer currently has, 1.17 mills are needed to cover the $10 million GO bond over the 20 years. That also means that the bond could be paid with less than half of the 3 mills that are currently approved. So the extra cost to the property owners is minimal if the tax cap is not raised from the 3 mill. Or we go forward with raising the mill by 1.17 from the voter-approved bond, and that means the city can continue spending at its current levels and cover the bond debt of that. And just so calculations, the city of Palmer's total assessed taxable value is approximately $617,669, and that's after exemptions are included. So that's how we get the revenue from the tax assessed values. So assuming a $300,000 house with a $10 million bond, annual tax mills are approximately $900 currently. Monthly, that's $75. You add an additional 1.17 mills monthly, that's $29 that you would see an increase in a $300,000 home. And if you had a monthly 4.17 million mills, you'll see $104.25, $104.25 on a home valued at $300,000. A home valued at $500,000, if you had the mills at 4.17, would be $173.75. Any questions on that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Somewhere in here, are we going to address the fact that the sales tax revenue pays for the lion's share of our budget, and we wouldn't necessarily, no matter what scenario we decided on, put it all on property taxpayers. We would anticipate, as Palmer's grown by over 600 people since 2020, would anticipate the sales tax revenue would increase as well. So I appreciate this. I don't know if I follow your last category of monthly at 4.17 mils. You just took the monthly piece and times it by what number?
No, so that last column, the 4.17, is if we utilize the voter-approved bond to tax the property owners, and that would be the delta between what we currently have at monthly at 3 mills on a $300,000 house is $75. If you increased it by that 1.17 to 4.17, you would add 75, 29.25 equals to 104.25.
Thank you. And then will you address, say, the full part about sales tax revenue versus versus property tax?
Sales tax revenue goes into the general fund, and this scenario only utilizes the bond debt that was approved by the voters. I do have an all-cash scenario later. Like, this is just kind of like our assumptions, so that when we get into like the amortization schedule and the 4 different scenarios that Gian and I put together, you understand our assumptions going forward. But there is an all-cash, which sales tax would cover that. But again, we wanted to also demonstrate what the voter-approved bond could do for us financially.
Thank you.
So on that next one, you'll see 4 different scenarios. First one is all cash, $12 million. Again, I rounded that down. The current contract with H5 is $12,080,000. So I rounded it down just for ease of numbers. Then we have a second scenario, $9 million cash and a $3 million bond. Again, those are rounded numbers because we have just a little bit more than $9.2 million in cash in our account. Third scenario is $2 million cash, a $10 million bond, and then we invest the $7 million in our current cash. That's 9 minus 7. So we would invest that $7 million in a cash money market account so that it can help offset any bond debt interest rates going forward. The fourth scenario is a $6 million cash investment plus, $6 million cash that we already currently have, a $6 million bond, and then we invest $3 million in cash in the money market. And you can see that our current cash rate is 4.05% and 4.12% on our rate of return in our Series 1 and Series 11 account. And that's as of last week. I think it was October 30th is the last rate that we received. So again, our assumptions here on this page are bond payments at 3.75% over 20 years. And then you'll see a net annual fiscal impact, and that's calculated at 4%. So lost investment returns on cash used would be 4%. And then you also have interest earned on the retained cash. And of course, you have your non-cash depreciation benefit, which is only for context, which was calculated at approximately $600,000 per year, which would hit the balance sheet. Again, I'll go over and reiterate some of the assumptions. Project cost, $12 million, bond, $10 million, bond rate, 3.75%, investment return on cash, 4%, depreciation / net annual benefit base would be $600,000, duration 20 years, and cash available for the library fund is currently sitting at $9 million. Okay. Based on those scenarios, you'll see in scenario at the top, you have scenario 3 and 4 with a bond principal of $10 million and $6 million. Then you'll see the total bond interest at $4.3 million for the $10 million bond, $2.6 million for the $6 million bond, and then you'll see total payments would be just over $14.3 million over the life of the bond if you did $10 million, and $8.6 million if you bonded for $6 million. Average annual payments on that, approximately $719,000 for $10 million and $431,000 for a $6 million bond. The interest rates are $219,000 and $131,000 respectively. Is there?
I have a question.
Yes.
If we had the bond principal at $10 million and we take the $9 million and invest it, maybe you already mentioned this, how much money do we earn on that $9 million per year?
So in the scenarios that I have here, like if you have a $10 million bond and you invest $7 million, I can do the calculations on the full investment, but for the scenarios and lack of not wanting to do the future value formula on the fly right now, investment interest more than covers the bond interest every year. If you have a $10 million bond with a $7 million investment, that leaves roughly $197,000 a year extra to reduce principal or fund other priorities. And over the 20 years of that investment, the city effectively has a net gain of $3.95 million from investment versus bond interest. And in scenario 4, with the $6 million versus the $6 million bond and $3 million invested, you have a surplus of about $938,000, which is a little bit less flexible than scenario 4, but it still does a net gain of $47,000 per year. The investment interest still exceeds the bond interest by a margin of $47,000. So both are sound financial ways to go.
Thank you.
And then I guess in total, it would be about a $10 million bond versus a $7 million invested. The surplus by year 20 would be $442,000 and $350,000 respectively. So, yeah. And then on the next page, you'll just see bond principal versus bond interest, your total bond payment over 20 years, amortized over the 20 years. And then on the other columns, you'll see your investment balance, your investment interest, and then your net cash effect, which is where you'll see that $442,000 that I just referenced, which you would have, that first scenario, a $10 million bond. At the end, you would have that amount of cash. And then on the next page, I also did that for Gina and I did that for the $6 million bond scenario as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Manager Zirkle, how come in year 5 of the scenario you laid out with the bond principal, I'm just curious, why does that net cash effect jump up from a negative 24,000 to 220,000 positive, and then in year 6 it rolls back to 25,000, year 7 51,000, et cetera? What happens there at year 5 that's such a specialty that it allows us to have a net cash effect of 220,000?
That could be the depreciation that we realize at that point. I could go back and I'd have to go back and look at my notes and all of that, but depreciation does play an effect on everything, not necessarily the cash, but the total. I can go back and look at those.
And one more, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor.
please.
And also overall, I mean, you did mention rounding down from
That's
12,080,000 to 12 million. What about the other stuff we need to make a library? The furnishings, is it your thought process that all that would come out of cash and not out of a bonding situation for the stuff we need to make a library a library?
So from my understanding of the bond, it's for the construction of the library, and furnitures and fixtures and equipment are separate. So we would need the cash to actually make the library a functional spot, put the desk in, put the furniture, all of that kind of stuff.
And now remember, we have, like the manager mentioned, we have $9.3 million, that we've been given, whether through insurance or for the state or whatever. And not all of that is actually, it's library related, not necessarily library construction. But if this money is put in the bank at 4% interest, as bills accrue, then you pull that money out and pay, because we're not going to get a $12 million bill, right up front. So it kind of almost makes sense that, and when you bond for $10 million, does not mean that you get $10 million in cash. It's a draw. You just go in and draw. And if it gets to the point where we only needed $3 million or $4 million, then we're done. All right. So, and we do have that other money in reserve, like you were mentioning. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Question. So you'll have to educate me a little bit. So if we do decide to go one of these options 3 or 4 where there's a bond involved and it acts as an investment, generates some income over that period of time, is all the income generated would go directly to the library fund? Is that the idea? Or is there some possibility that that money goes somewhere else? Say the library is, the fundraising goes amazing and it's paid for and we still have money coming in. What happens then?
That would certainly be a policy call. I would pay all of the bond debt first, and anything associated with the library, if we are investing that money, it would be prudent for us to be using it even for the furniture and fixtures.
I mean, generally when we have, with our 9 million that we have in the bank, generally that money comes back into the general fund, the interest, but it does make prudent sense to take that money and help pay off the library so we don't have to deplete our funds. And remember that when the auditors come in, they say that you should have a minimum of 6 months, or at least half a year, what your budget is in the bank. And with our $8+ million, we're close to that. I would hate to dig into that very, very far because, you just don't know when something comes up. We have another collapse, we have a fire, we have, whatever it is, and not necessarily insurance covers it all.
Yeah, and that's correct. So the all-cash scenario that I have on there would require a general fund transfer of approximately $3 million just to cover the construction of the library. Anything above that, like the furnitures, would be an additional cost to the general fund.
And that's also assuming that the build comes in at $12 million. Originally that we had a guesstimate that it was, started at 15.5, then 16.5, and 17 million. So there's a potential that it can go that much higher. So I think we have to be prudent in how we, spend our funds.
One more question.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we approve the bond, would it affect, it sounds like it would, I just want to make sure I understand it correctly. Would it affect how much then may be moved from the capital budget to the library? So I guess my concern is like, if the people of Palmer are like, hey, we want whatever funds we have available or that can prudently be used to go towards the library, could that happen in addition to approving a bond? Or if we approve a bond, is that less likely to happen?
To be clear, the bond is already approved by the voters. This is more of if we want to move forward and let the bond go. That we can do a capital improvement request and moving money from the general fund to fund it completely in cash. That's certainly a scenario. I've got that scenario on there that we can certainly do.
And if we did do the full cash, and it sounds like you might talk a little bit more about this later, so tell me if I'm jumping the gun, but if we were able to do the full cash, downsides to that being is that we lose the investment opportunity.
And we lose liquidity within, financial, a little bit of liquidity with the city. Our cash reserves go down, something comes up, an emergency, or if we want to fund something, a future project, say there's the museum needs some replacements. We want to pay for that in cash rather than, seeking donations. It just allows us to forward or fund some of these capital improvement projects that not necessarily we even know about right now.
So just make sure I understand. So if we did a full cash on that, a full cash towards the library, and something unexpected did happen, our ability to address that from a financial standpoint could be limited potentially.
Depending on the dollar amount, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, because, we mentioned $9 million that we have associated with the library. At a minimum, it's $3 million out of our bank account, at a minimum. And that's not, again, the furnitures and all that kind of stuff. So my guess is it would probably be closer to $5 or $6 million as opposed to $3. And if it's additional 6, that takes us only down to 2 or 3 million in the bank, which is kind of untenable.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
you'll have to excuse me, everybody. I'm very sick, so I might not sound nice, so I'm sorry. I'm trying to speak up. So my question is in looking at this, if we did $9 million in cash, the money that we have towards the library, we actually put straight towards the library, if that makes sense. And then if we bonded the $3 million, I'm sorry, because I don't have those papers in front of me. What was the tax increase that would be, and for how long?
I didn't run the tax implications on that bond scenario. If you look at the actual tax implications on the next, let's see, we'll flip to it. I sent it.
I don't have it.
I emailed you that PowerPoint.
Yeah, okay, I don't know, I don't have it, I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
It's no big deal, I'm just saying that's why I'm asking, I'm sorry, because I can't see it, so I was just.
got it. Well, for the scenario when it comes to the interest, let's see where we're at. The property tax, it's the mills. So if you look at a $10 million bond, so anything less than that would be a smaller, you can almost half that if you do a $3 million bond scenario. But on a $300,000 house and a $10 million bond, if you increase the tax from 3 mils to 4.17 mils, monthly it would increase by $104. The realized property tax would be $104.25, $104.25. You have a reduced bond to 1 to 3 million, it would go down accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I like a scenario of trying to use and invest money to, keep us in a solid liquidity state, as mentioned in the graph. And I do think provides a little more flexibility. I don't know about the arbitrage part of taking the money from a bond and investing, but I do, just speaking for myself, and I get the warmest, fuzziest feeling from scenario number 4, because I see a bond amount of 6 million instead of 10. Certainly less to invest in cash, but also, if I'm doing math right in my head, it's about 0.7 of a mil instead of 1.17 mil on that bond scenario. And I think just looking at the graphs that were provided for us, I know we can jigger the numbers any way we want to jigger them, but it doesn't have to be 5. It could be a $5 million bond instead of 6, or it could be a $7 million bond instead of 6. But I don't. Just the thought process of going out and explaining to property owners, which make up about 15% of our revenue, that their price is going to increase by almost $30 a month. I think it's a tougher sale. And I think if we look at this, I don't like an all cash scenario, because I just think it puts us in a potentially, puts it in a storm that we may not be able to get out of. So I think something where we combined bond with cash, but still have some liquidity to invest, makes the most sense to me. But we have a good city manager that we pay well to give us the best case scenario. And I don't know, I want to put words in her mouth, but would you recommend either scenario 3 or 4 if it was your money?
My money. Well, to be clear, we wouldn't be investing any of the bond debt that it goes towards the construction. This investment scenario is for the cash that we already have on hand. So just to be clear, any of the bond debt going to pay for the library goes to pay for the library, and the cash that we currently have appropriated in the library fund is the cash that would be invested. Those are the assumptions. As far as what I would do personally, again, this is a policy call for the council. My own personal opinion doesn't matter. That's why when you run these scenarios, you look at everything, including debt to income ratios, liquidity, what preserves cash by offsetting debt, what is the best financial decision for the city for the long-term health of our financials. I'll move in whatever direction that the city wants to. I have my own personal preferences, but again, this is a policy call for the council to make.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Manager. Well stated, well played. I think also I'm curious that the $313,000 a year net cost in scenario 4 versus 442, I can't wrap my arms around how it can be, at least in the net annual fiscal impact, how it can be this much better than the scenario above it, because somehow I'm not quite grasping if there's a $78,000 net fiscal gain with the more money to invest, but the yearly cost is almost $130K more. Am I understanding it correctly?
No, you're looking at that correctly. So what that is the higher amount, the higher the bond, the higher the interest payment is, the higher the payment is. So that's what you're seeing. However, when you see the $38,000 net fiscal gain on the book, that is an actual realization from your investment income and the cash that you've accrued by investing. So you see at the end, yes, the scary number is higher at the beginning, but the end of that is an actual return on the investment.
Yes, sir.
There's potential, we get people's hopes up, but there's potential that things happen in the future that enable us to pay it off faster than the 20-year scenario, right? Whether it be state grants, whether it be money from Rasmussen, whether it be, some rich person dying and leaving money to a Palmer Library. I mean, there's scenarios where it doesn't have to be a 20-year payout. It can be lesser than that.
We could let a bond out for 15 years or 30 years. We can pay it off earlier if we'd like. It's, akin to a mortgage. You can have a 15-year mortgage or 20-year mortgage, 30-year mortgage. If you decide to make payments and accelerate that schedule, again, that would be a policy call.
Yeah. And Deputy Mayor, in number 4, that, 6 and 6, that my guess is, like I said, you're not going to be paying out $12 million right away. So if that $6 million is invested, then we're going to be making, money during that first year. Because it's going to take us a year and a half to build this. So my guess is that figure might be a little bit more the first year or so. And I don't think that we're actually going to make a total decision at this point. This is just information for everybody, so we can kind of try to wrap our heads around that, which is more than a little difficult. So, any other questions?
Could I ask one more?
Yes, ma'am.
Looking at the third page here, it says to pay the annual debt service from property taxes, you need about $725,000 a year. Is there a reason that paying that debt service would need to come from property taxes specifically?
We can pay it out of the current property tax that we have now, or we can pay it out of, the reason we did this is because it was a voter-approved bond to raise the property taxes and pay for the library. That's what the scenario all assumes. Whether we go that route or not is simply the decision to the body.
Okay, so if we opted to pay for that debt service using something other than property taxes, that was not what was approved by the voters then, and we would need to do something to allow that to happen? Is that accurate?
I think, they did approve the $10 million bond, and that was whatever the actual dollars were going to be per 300,000. And if we change that, in the past, we have paid off and not taken the bond. We've gotten bond approval and then not utilize that. Yeah, there is an opportunity if you want to pay it off with something else. But then the concern is you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Let's say it's from sales tax or from whatever, that now you've taken away that opportunity cost from something else. And so you know, I would think that if we have the approval, that, you know, we ought to think about that. And, you know, and like I say, we don't know what's gonna happen in the future, so you don't want to, you know, you don't wanna, you know, short circuit yourself, if you will, by taking money that we're not sure where it's gonna come from. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, not that I would be an advocate of this, but if we're looking to our sister city of Wasilla for what to charge in ice skating rink fees, maybe you look to our sister city and how they did their library. And, you know, they did it with a sales tax, temporary sales tax increase. So there's always that potential. I think it'd be a potential nightmare for our businesses in Palmer to deal with, but there's always the potential to deal with it a different way than what's being presented now. I think we're in a fairly advantageous position of having a state grant, having the insurance settlement, having at least seed money to move forward without potentially addressing the things like, do we want a temporary sales tax, or do we want to do a different option? I mean, the voters spoke very loud and clear in 23 with 79+% of the vote authorizing a $10 million bond. So you guys will remember I'm the only one that said try to cap it at 8 million, and it went through at 10, and me and 79% of my neighbors overwhelmingly approved it at 10. So I think we have, with what's been presented tonight by our city manager and our finance director, we have good scenarios in front of us that I think we can, you know, once we're up to full speed as a council with 7 members, we can have great discussions of which way we want to go. And I appreciate the work that's gone into this discussion tonight.
If I may, I'd like to talk about your sales tax initiative. The advantage of a temporary sales tax is 1% 1 penny increase gives us approximately $3.5 million, I think, in around $3+ million in tax. How much? A point. Yeah, that gives us $3 million. So what's that 1 penny give us? So I guess what I'm saying is that takes a burden off the homeowners, because you know that all the sales tax money that we're getting is not paid for by the 6,000 residents of Palmer, right? And 80% of the people that use the library are from outside the city limits. So if you have this 1 penny increase, temporary increase for a year, you know, that you're right, that what that does is that gives us $3 to $4 million, and then you can, you know, just put that right towards the library. Yes, ma'am.
That is a very feasible approach. I do want to also let the council know that, you know, in order to sign the contract, we do have the funds available to proceed with the just over $12 million contract with H5. So no decisions have to be made tonight. I believe the city sales tax, that would have to go to the vote of the people, so you'd have to take that into, no?
No.
No? Okay, well then I'm wrong.
Not here. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, we raised it from 2 to 3 back in 1996, and that was just a vote of the council.
Okay, well then,
So,
then we don't need to sit and wait
Yeah.
and see if that
Yeah.
goes or not.
That wasn't temporary, then, was it?
no, that was not, you know, but you know, my theory is if you have one and you actually show that you're doing something with the money as opposed to just lining your pockets, that's always a good thing. All right. Any other questions of the manager on this one, so we move on? Okay. We're still in the committee of the whole, and we're at Palmer Golf Course and Warren Bud Woods Palmer Municipal Airport discussion.
That's correct. And then joining us in this discussion will also be the Community Development Director and Airport Director as well, to answer any questions so that we can go through this scenario. There's quite a few papers on the dais. A lot of that is just backup for what we'll be kind of covering in the first couple of handouts. Those are just so that it reinforces some of our talking points. So we'll just kind of talk over the Palmer Municipal Golf Course Agreement. It's just a high-level overview. The operator is Eagle Golf Course Management, Inc. It's a term of 5 years that runs from January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2025. They have an option for a 5-year extension by mutual agreement. The parties to the agreement are the City of Palmer, which is the owner, and FAA grant-obligated airport land. And the other party is Eagle Golf Course Management, which is a private contractor/operator. Eagle Golf Course Management operates the municipal golf course under a management agreement with the City of Palmer. The company does not pay any lease or rent for its exclusive use of the city's airport property. The financial terms are it's a fixed price contract at $425,000 per year, and the city pays that to the contractor directly. It's a front-loaded payment schedule from January to May, and in order to ensure some compliance for the accounting, daily receipts are deposited into the city-controlled account. Bi-weekly reporting and monthly maintenance reporting is required as well. Some of the city responsibilities in this contract, including paying all utilities and capital repairs under $5,000. We pay all credit card processing fees for all operations. We pay the credit card processing fees for the private business revenues that are retained by Eagle Golf Course Management, which include the pro shop, alcohol, food and beverage, merchandise. And the city spends money each year to pay for equipment like the golf course or golf carts and mowers. The city also is responsible for paying and maintaining the liquor license, the costs associated with the golf course clubhouse that are there. Moving down to some of the characteristics of the agreement, the city retains ownership and control of the land and the improvements. The contractor is granted exclusive use of the airport land and facilities for operation of the golf course. The contractor provides staffing, daily operations, and course maintenance using city-owned equipment. Although it is titled a management agreement, this arrangement really functions as a lease under FAA standards, as the contractor has exclusive control and derives private revenue from this obligated land, airport land. City-funded operations. The city pays all operating costs, including utilities and equipment and credit card fees. The contractor supplies no equipment and relies on city-owned assets or little equipment. Since we maintain the liquor license, we have to pay for all those licensing fees, and we receive no revenue from alcohol sales. And since we pay all credit card fees associated with those operations, including those tied to the contractor retained revenues of beer, wine, merchandise, and pro shop sales. The city pays the management contract an annual amount, which is $425,000. Of the revenue structure, how it's separated out, city revenues are green fees, range fees, cart and trail rental fees, which is collected by the contractor on behalf of the city and deposited into the Golf Course Enterprise Fund. Contractor retains revenue from all snack bar, liquor, food, and merchandise income that are obtained basically in the pro shop. And then the credit card processing fees, since the city pays the transaction fees for both the city revenues and contractors' private sales, we are effectively paying for these private business transactions that the contractor does retain all funds for that portion of the revenues and the pro shop. This is held under a land use and interfund transfer, so neither the Community Development Department's land use agreement nor the Eagle Golf Course Management Operations Agreement pays an actual fair market lease or land use rate to the Airport Enterprise Fund, which is in violation of FAA compliance. The internal land use rate recorded by City Department is an accounting entry only, and it does not reflect or collect the true fair market value. So basically, the city bears nearly all operational and financial responsibilities for the course, while the Eagle Golf Course Management, Inc. retains private revenue streams and does not compensate the city or airport use for the land of the facilities, which is an agreement that we entered into. So this is all city approved. This creates an indirect subsidy of a private business by the city and the enterprise funds, and we don't receive fair market return on the federally obligated airport land. Additionally, no other non-aeronautical use company receives some of these benefits that are currently established in this management agreement. So there's two interdepartment land use agreements. One is Airport to Community Development Department. Land is under the airport ownership and is currently operated as the golf course. The internal land use agreement states a fair market value rate when it's actually under fair market value, and there is no actual payment from community development to the Enterprise Airport Fund. The community development then in turn slash city then in turns has an agreement with Eagle Golf Course Management, Inc. This contractor operates the golf course and retains the profits from its private sales. The city pays the contractor the fixed annual fee, which I stated before, $425,000, and community development nor Eagle Golf Course again does not pay fair market rent and is received by the airport. How is this paid for? Well, it's the Golf Course Enterprise Fund. The City Golf Course Enterprise Fund pays the land use agreement rate established between the airport and community development into the Airport Enterprise Fund. The rate paid to the Airport Enterprise Fund is booked at the fair market value rate as established in the land use agreement. This fund, the airport fund as a whole, collects operational revenues, so green fees, cards, range fees from Eagle Golf Course Management, Inc., so all of that. The fund does not retain any, and then we turn around and pay out what is owed to Eagle Golf Course Management. This fund does not retain any of their private revenues from the pro shop liquor sales, food, or beverage sales. The Airport Enterprise Fund does receive internal payments from the city's Golf Course Enterprise Fund, which is the rate established under the land use agreement, which is an internal transfer and below fair market value. The Airport Enterprise Fund does not receive lease funds directly from community development and does not receive funds directly from Eagle Golf Course Management, Inc. Both of those could be considered compliance considerations with the FAA. Moving on to the next page. FAA compliance considerations. The FAA requires fair market value revenue for all non-aeronautical uses of the land. Eagle Golf Course Management document is labeled as an agreement, but is functionally a lease. That's how the FAA will look at any type of agreement. How does it work? The city pays the private contractor instead of collecting the fair market rent, and we pay them through the management agreement of $425,000. Revenues from the airport, including the golf course land, must support airport self-sufficiency under Grant Assurance 24. And since the golf course nor the city pays the airport fair market value for the land, that is in violation. However, the Golf Course Enterprise Fund pays the Airport Enterprise Fund the Community Development's land use agreement established rate. Again, these are all internal transfers that are all happening when paying for this land use agreement rate. Again, we're paying a private entity to operate the golf course and not charging any department, any entity fair market value lease rates, which creates an indirect subsidy and violates self-sustaining revenue grant rules, which is Grant Assurance 25. And again, this is only an accounting agreement. It does not actually reflect fair market value of the property located with those 144.75 acres. And because of this, the rate is truly below market value as established by other non-aeronautical use rates at 11 cents per square foot. The cost of using the land is actually being subsidized internally by the city and the airport. Any questions? There's a lot. Anything to add, gentlemen? I'll keep going just a little bit. So in 2011, the FAA settlement agreement reference, it was a whistleblower complaint where we paid over $850,000 in fines for this exact same scenario that we're looking at, non-compliance. not paying fair market value of lease rates. So we've already established a compliance history with this exact piece of parcel. In fact, it called out the golf course in 2011 exactly as not paying fair market value. And we've continued that practice to even today. This pattern is effectively subsidizing also the private recreational use of a contractor, the Eagle Golf Course Management, again, is a violation of FAA. So our main issue is that everything is below fair market value. It's an exclusive private use for a contractor, which it violates grant assurance number 5 because the golf course is technically not open to everyone. You have to pay to go in there. How that operator provides scholarships or subsidies of its own personal benefit is the personal business of that operator, not the city's. It's an airport subsidy because the fair market lease income is diverted to non-aeronautical use. The airport is not actually realizing its true actual income potential if this lease was actually at fair market value. And again, we have kind of danced around the issue of saying it's an agreement, and it's actually functionally works as a lease. Any questions on that one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. So, how much money did the golf course return to the general fund based on? I understand the $425,000 fee, but revenue generated was somewhere double that. Correct?
So I've got a separate sheet of all of that, of the airport fund and the golf course fund, of actuals from 2019 to 2024, of what we've currently booked for operating, with less depreciation for the airport and the golf course, so you can look at that. But then also, you'll see on this one, you should.
Keep digging.
Yeah, there's lots.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If not, here. So then on the second page, so of course the numbers guy doesn't get it. So on the second page, then you'll see, Gina backdated what it actually would look like for the airport fund and the golf fund if it was actually charged a fair market rate. And we actually only went up in 2021 through 2024, we only had this scenario at 10 cents per square foot, and actually our fair market value and what our current city leases are doing and what our current non-aeronautical rates are doing are actually 11 cents. So what you see here is actually just below what you would see in 2025. If you would actually charge 11 cents per square foot, you would actually look at a figure of about $696,000 in lease revenue just from the golf course that you would that the airport fund would actually realize.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
One question on so when you mentioned back in, I forget the year, but like $850,000 penalty that the city had to pay, were any changes made with how business was being done at that point, or did we just pay the penalty and keep going as we were?
Both. So we made corrective actions with the food distribution center and the ball fields, which were a part of that whistleblower complaint. The general fund purchased those. As far as the community development center and the fire training center, proper leases were put in place, and over from 2011 through now, they are currently paying 11 cents per square foot, along with every other lease currently, except for Eagle Golf Course. This land use agreement is not been held to that same standard. They have been given a below market lease rate this entire time. And what they do with the land use agreement currently says it's a per acre, which originally was like, it's just not how FAA does it on a per square foot basis. And this land use agreement was authorized by the city at a per acre one, but still if you do apples to apples, It is still about 3 cents per square foot is what they're currently paying, so that's being heavily subsidized. It really should be at 11 cents per square foot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Manager Zirkle, most of that 144 acres of property is just that property, right? There's no roads, there's no things that go on there. And so I wonder about the FAA's own policies. I mean, if they've been waiting for 35 years besides this 2011 situation, they waited for 35 years from this, and why now are we, if we don't have a foreseeable plan for the future of this, why now are we deciding this has to change? I mean, I look at it as the revenue part has been increasing. Do we need to charge more per square foot to the golf course? I mean, is that a remedy to make it? But I don't understand. You know, there's things you charge for, obviously a runway, a parking lot, and different things that have infrastructure on them versus a golf course that's been there. As one person mentioned, Herman Brothers built it back in the late 80s and been open since 1990. I'm just curious why now this is becoming such a situation, and maybe that could be addressed to John DeMenti as well.
I can also answer that as well. It's not a why is it a just now situation. This actually started in 2008 with the whistleblower complaint. It was finalized in 2011, and we were put on a path for compliance back then. So this isn't new. And 100% of the golf course land was purchased using FAA federally obligated funds. It was allowed to operate as a golf course because the current footprint of the airport still had developable land, and we still do. So this scenario isn't going to happen next year or the year after that. This is a 3 to 5 year train coming down the tracks, if you will, before there is any type of movement towards developing the golf course. That timeline could be slipped a little bit depending on the economy. It could be upped again. It could be a 2 year. Someone could come in tomorrow and say they want to lease it all, and we would have to do that. Again, all of our documents, we can actually make a very well articulated case for developing that land as well. There are maintenance repair stations that we can put out there that can do commercial operations. We can do flight schools, taxiways, hangars, FBOs. There is a case that can be had that the city can develop that land. What that actually looks like is a few years down the road, and that's going to be economy driven as far as how many hangars are going to be built or how many maintenance repair stations are going to be out there. We just don't know, but we can state that the airport has demonstrated over the years that it is developing its land, and in approximately 3 to 5 years will run out of its current footprint.
Councilwoman Carrington, please.
So what I think I understand is that they called us on this exact thing that was scenario we're talking about in 2011, and it cost us what, $800,000?
Just over $800,000 for this exact same scenario of not charging fair market value, basically land use non-compliance.
Yeah. And so now we're how many years later? 14 years later, and we're in the same scenario. I don't know about the why now, but ignoring it doesn't seem like that went in our best interest. And it seems like it's something that we need to seriously look at and figure out what to do moving forward. Both entities seem like they're great for Palmer, but there's a bottom line issue that's got to be addressed. I mean, to be fiscally responsible and follow with the the FFA compliance, we need to definitely address this.
Deputy Mayor?
Mr. Mayor?
Yep. Please,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead. I
go
can wait.
No, that's all right. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I have a few questions. Did she say that the golf course was the only non-aeronautical lease at the airport currently?
No.
No, I did not. I said they're the only one not at fair market value.
Okay. And then the telecom company, are they also at fair market value?
I'll answer that question. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Thank you for having me up here. The New Horizons Telecom was found to be in violation of the non-aeronautical use of their property, and they're currently on a remediation plan that ends in 2031. The agreement in the lease allows them time and to make investment to convert their land to 100% aeronautical use. And that lease ends in 2031.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes, please.
So they have until 2031 to get within the fair market value compliance to be at that 11 cents per square foot?
No, they're paying the aeronautical rate. The agreement was for them to convert their land to aeronautical use.
So they currently are paying the 11 cents a square foot.
They're currently paying 9 cents a square foot, the aeronautical rate. And the agreement with the FAA was that they were given time to convert their properties to aeronautical use. In which they submit an annual report to do that to the airport manager, and they're underway in that plan. And by 2031, if they're not able to attain 100% aeronautical use, then they are not going to be able to renew their lease. The FAA has expressed interest in any lease renewal that would happen with those properties.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I just want to clarify that they currently are paying under the fair market value rate as another contract, like with the airport.
Their lease was reviewed by the FAA, and the FAA allowed the city of Palmer to charge them an aeronautical rate moving forward on the condition that they converted their properties to aeronautical use, which they are underway of.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor, I also have another question.
Please.
This is, I guess, so my understanding is that before there was a contract made with George for him to be contracted with the city to run the golf course, that he was doing it as a city employee before he was a contractor, and it used to be a separate department, and that the person working previously in that was also not contracted but a part of a department. So I was just wondering if we know when that changed.
I do not know when that changed. I do know that the contract with Eagle Golf Course Management dates back to, I believe it's 2009, and they have been having renewals since. The latest one agreement was February of 2023. I don't know. I have no details on if and when George was a city employee. I might have to rely on.
Yeah.
George, I see you waving your hands.
They haven't been a city, they weren't a city employee. Yeah. Even in 2001.
So, I'm I'm sure I can answer some of the questions. It's been a while, but in 1990, so the golf course started out being run by the city of Palmer. They hired employees. A gentleman named Mark DeLesu was one of the people. I think at one time, was it Dave Sulak was actually kind of overseeing the golf course. And Mayor Cooper probably remembers some of this. The golf course was losing quite a bit of money at that time. They were also paying the bond. So in 1996, they contracted North Course Management, Jeff Barnhart, to take over management of the golf course as a non-city employee, hiring his own employees, and basically was told by the city council to make it work. So that's what he did. At that time, the city paid him a contractor fee. I'm not 100% sure on the number, but it was around $600,000 a year. And at that time, he would submit all of his receipts to the city for reimbursement. At the end of that, when he expired that $600,000, he was out of money. And when I took over the contract, it was kind of the same thing. He left in 2007. I took over that contract, and then down the road, and I can't remember the exact year, but it wasn't, it was probably in the last 15 years, the state PERS department got involved and didn't like the contract. They didn't like the fact that the contractor was submitting all the receipts to being reimbursed. They didn't like the fact that there was a $50,000 bank account, like a slush fund at First National Bank. So because of that, the contract got changed to close to what it is now. It's been tweaked a little bit over the years, but essentially the contract was created so that we could get PERS off of the city's back as far as the contractor or the contract was concerned. As far as paying lease for the land, the golf course is always, the golf course belongs to the city, so the golf course is paid what the lease was, they were expected to pay. There was never any discussion in the past about not paying fair market value. Obviously, in 2011, that became an issue. I think, if I remember right, it wasn't just the golf course that was held accountable. It was also the Food Nutrition Center and some other things that were built on airport property without proper approval or whatever you want to say. So the golf course was just a portion of that. And honestly, this is really the first that I've heard that this was such a big compliance problem. And I've been managing the golf course for 18 years. So I knew that there were some issues with the airport fence at one time, but I'd never heard that the lease of the golf course was why the city got fined over $800,000. So that's kind of a little bit eye-opening for me, which is surprising since I'm so closely, involved with it. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes, please.
I was just wondering, what was the bond that he mentioned that the golf course paid off?
I'm probably not going to get it right, but I want to say it was around 1.5 million.
Right.
Yes, that's correct.
What was the bond?
Okay, and then I guess I have one more question for the city
Yes.
manager.
You please.
Or as of right now, does the FAA allow agricultural land and recreational land leases to be lower per square foot in their different agreements?
They have two categories, non-aeronautical and aeronautical, but I'll bring the, yeah.
There's a separate use of the land, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the term off the top of my head. It has to do with a joint use of the land For example, haying the fields, or haying the fields, or runway overruns, or the field, we do charge an agricultural rate. And the reason for that is because the farmer does not have control of the land. The farmer basically maintains the land for us, and we charge that farmer a fee for being able to make a profit on it. So it's not, we don't charge the aeronautical, non-aeronautical use because it is not a strict non-aeronautical use. It's airport land that the farmer just happens to have some crops that they can make a profit on. And there are several tracts of land that this applies to. There's land inside the fence and there's land outside the fence.
Deputy Mayor. I had a different question, but it piqued my interest. So what does that cost?
It's put out to bid.
Oh, put out to bid. Okay.
It's put out to bid.
Thank you. I wanted to point out, I know Mr. Collin stated it, but it was in our paperwork up here that in 2015, the Airport Corrective Action Plan talked about purchases of the nutrition center and the ball field. So I haven't gone through everything from August 16th, 2010 to see if that's where it mentions, whether it mentions the Curtis Acala Nutrition Center, whether it mentions the ball field over there, whether it mentions the land that we use for other purposes or not. So I think it's important to point out this wasn't just a, as George did, it wasn't just a golf course.
You're right. It was a combination of those three. Right. It was the ball field, the nutrition center, the golf course.
Okay.
Because they were non-aeronautical use, and then we were getting charged for that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
So, quick question. I just want to clarify then. So the golf course revenue paid off the bond that was used to purchase that land?
The golf course revenue paid off the bond that was used to construct the golf course.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
So was there any improvement to the land by them doing that could have benefited the city?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes.
So what I'm asking is that by the golf course coming onto that land, since my assumption would be at the time the city couldn't have afforded to expand the airport over those 144 acres, the golf course has improved the land as agricultural land and has provided a benefit to the community, and it's paid itself off to do that.
Let me jump in here real quick. The $700,000 or $600,000 that we were paying the golf course way back when, actually, was kind of funneled through the golf course. It would actually end up paying for the $1.5 million. So in all reality, the city paid for that, funneled through the golf course. But you're talking about any improvements to the golf course, like water, electricity, question mark?
Yes, I'm just saying that these people that have been, maintaining the golf course for us have been providing a benefit that we as the city, as council members, could see as such a benefit to how they've kept the piece of land. Does that they didn't just, pay off a bond to complete, a golf course build, but they've brought the land up and they've continued to cultivate it and take care of it. So if there's a way for us to work with the FAA in a release of obligation, or even reach out about it, or figure out fair market value costs for agricultural land, I don't understand why these can be the only options when the FAA clearly states that there's other options. I don't understand where the data is in front of me that says the FAA is saying no to this. I just see graphs and notes that are being sent to me saying this is what they're saying it has to be. Where's the data in front of me for us to make a decision like this?
To be clear, there is no decision to be made tonight or even next week. The council asked us to bring this forward and start the discussion, and that's exactly what this is. And also, it's not agricultural land. This is aeronautical designated land. So it needs to be developed for aeronautical use. Eagle Golf Course Management has done an excellent job of fulfilling their contract terms and operating the golf course as it's designed to do. They do an excellent job of that. They provide a community amenity that many people enjoy. If you want to talk about improvements, yes, we have put in electricity, water lines, so those are improvements. However, as far as the golf course is maintained, that is a part of their operational agreement in which they would be held to the standards of any private entity coming in and operating there.
May I?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and a lot of the correspondence that we've had from the community, there's been this discussion of release of obligation. And my understanding in inquiring about it, it's basically asking FAA to release the land so that we can do what we want to with it. My understanding is that they don't have to release it, or if they do release it, they will probably want fair market value for the land. And that's, I don't know what that looks like. But I mean, and those are steps. It seems like we have some steps that we have to take to, one, while we still have the golf course, we need to get closer to what the FAA is looking for, and that's the fair market value. And then the long term, we can request that, and but we have to accept whatever they say. You know, it doesn't seem like in all the plans that I'm aware of for the airport, and that's always been held on to for aeronautical. I mean, it's never been not considered FAA land. And yes, it is Palmer's lands, but they paid, I think, for most of the land for us to use it as an airport. So they still have a lot of input, and we have to go with what they say. So it just seems like we have a lot of steps, but I think this is a good step of bringing a lot of people didn't even know that this fair market value thing was an issue, and I think we need to continue looking at it. And thank you for bringing all this information in. There's a lot.
You know, remember this is an informational gathering part of the whole process. Yes, ma'am.
Question on maybe like the absurd end of this spectrum, but just so I understand better. If we did, my question is, I guess, about FAA enforcement. Like, if we did nothing, would we just be fined another $800,000 every 20 years? You know, kind of thing as a cost of, or is it something where that fine's going to increase or come more frequently, or?
Well, they've already fined us $857,000 for noncompliance. What we're doing by ignoring it is we're establishing a pattern of noncompliance. I think our water and sewer system can speak for what happens under patterns of noncompliance. I don't think it's outside the ballpark for a consent decree to be placed on us for this.
A consent decree being, sorry, if you could educate me on that.
Being something that I can't speak to exactly what a consent decree is, but that's something, there's nothing consensual about a consent decree. That's where a federal judge and the Department of Justice come in and take over the airport for us and tell us how we're going to run it.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate council member to my right bringing that up because, you know, you do think that, okay, we were fined once in 35 years, a big fine, but it was 15 years ago. And yeah, I wish it was as simple as we'll just take 40 grand a year of the extra revenue the golf course is paying back to us and use that to put it in a potential fine pool for the future. But Mr. Diametti, what about the release of obligation? Is that a non-starter? Is that something you already have done documentation and analysis on to see about if that's even a possibility down the road?
I have a pretty good working relationship with the FAA. I work almost daily with the airports division. There's several different parts of the airports division. There's the parts that gives us the grants, that they want to give us money, they want to improve the airport. But the second part of that's the carrot. And then, of course, you have to have the stick that goes along with it, and that's the compliance division. The compliance portion, I've had several conversations. We have a good working relationship with them. And I have been in conversations with them about this, saying that we charge our I'm looking on the cheat sheet here, we charge our aeronautical tenants $3,920 an acre, and we charge our golf course $100 an acre. And it's a problem. There's time to fix this. We have, again, we have a good working relationship, but we need to show positive steps forward to show that we're in the middle of fixing this. And I think any plan that we really put forward to addressing this issue, I think they're going to accept. I hope they're going to accept.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just not even a question for you, but a city manager pointed out that, there's potential aeronautical uses down the road, 3, 5, 10 years from now, whenever. And a couple that she mentioned were, flight schools and hangars and different things we have now at Palmer Airport and are providing now, correct? And I think, I don't want to put, and I know it's been dated a little bit, maybe 6 to 12 months ago, but I think you told us that there was somewhere in the 13 to 19 acres still of usable property for the things that the city manager mentioned, for things like hangars and flight schools. Is that, am I even in the ballpark, somewhere in the teens of usable land?
Yes, sir. We have 13 acres of vacant land, currently divided into three lots, but again, 13 acres is a lot of land, and we can subdivide that any way that a potential lessor would need.
Thank you.
And as far as timeline for developing that, I mean, I have no idea. At the rate we're developing, my best guess is 3 to 5 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear, I was just waiting, Councilman Alcantara had asked if the airport superintendent had looked into a release of obligation. Am I correct? So can only the city of Palmer request the release of obligation? Or is it the airport that would request that?
It would be my recommendation that the sponsor, that the city of Palmer, request that release of obligation. And I apologize for not getting to the second part of my answer for your initial question, but a release of obligation is likely going to be an offer of a fair market value for the land. I don't see them, because in all the last two master plans that we've done, we've indicated that we intend to develop that land as aeronautical use. So I don't see the FAA having interest in just giving the land. My guess is that they're going to ask for a fair market value. And again, I have asked this question directly of the compliance folks, and they said that they did indicate that no, that they're not going to release it, but they didn't say anything further. So if the city wanted to write that letter, I don't think there'd be any harm in doing so.
Yes, ma'am.
In writing the letter, it would probably be a good idea that we had some of this stuff sorted out as far as compliance before we say we haven't been compliant, but now we want the land. So that might be something we'd want to address first before we did that, and then we could do that, make that request and see what they say.
Councilwoman Hudson?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So, did I overhear, did, the airport superintendent, Dementi, did you state that you had told the FAA that there was plans to develop that land?
The plans to develop that land are in both the 2009 and the 2016 master plans. It's and there's also in our airport layout plan, it indicates that fence that was mentioned earlier, and I'll quote here, non-standard OFA, which is an obstacle-free area for runway 1634, will become standard once golf course is returned to aeronautical use, at which time the fence will be relocated. That's from the 2018 ALP, and there's other indications in there from both the 2009 and the 2016 master plans.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
So is there, my understanding is that when you're asking for the release of obligation, there's some criteria for what they look at, what they will release for. Do we meet those? Do we know if we meet those?
That would be up to the FAA to determine. However, when you look at the regulations, they have provisions for like community spaces, like parks that are open to everyone, since this golf course has always been demonstrated in our master plans, our airport layout plans, the grant assurances. Every document, historically and current, shows that the land is for aeronautical use. It would be very difficult for us to now argue that it's a community space, open, free to the public, not operated as a business, and everything points to it's operated for profit, we charge a fee, and it's not actually, it actually is an aeronautical designated area. But it doesn't hurt to try.
And even in our current airport layout plan, it shows our current airport layout plan is basically an as-built. It's a signed as-built, signed by the city manager and the FAA, and everybody agrees upon. It's mostly a plan that shows what's there. But there's a section that shows a future use, and that one of those future uses is a parking apron, which takes up the basically what is the south. I'm trying to orient myself with north, looking at the map here, but looking at the southeast corner of the golf course. It shows an airport parking apron, and obviously, as intended in the future for aeronautical use.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, John. So admittedly, it's been a couple of years at least since I've been out to the airport property. I think last time was a Division of Forestry tour or something to look at their cool planes and stuff. But is there work currently going on that's either in those 13 acres of available land or other work that's extending runways or building anything? I mean, I know sometimes you walk that trail and you see things. I don't know if that's just maintenance type things where they're just making sure the trees don't grow up to a certain height or whatever happens, but there seems to be, I work at Job Corps, so that Cope Industrial Road, there seems to be activity around there all the time, and I don't get to the other side down by the Matanuska River to see if there's any kind of construction or anything going on there currently.
No, sir. Any construction out there it would come through here. That would be something that council would approve. It would be and we don't do any improvements to the airport without FAA concurrence, and it takes dollars. It takes lots of dollars to do that. So nothing is going to happen at the airport without coming through here. And with a leaseholder, council approves the leases, and then the leases then for development go to this gentleman right here and the building inspector, the community development department for the building permits and whatnot.
You'll come get our 6.25%, right?
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment to Councilman Alcantara about the question he just asked. I do believe there has been communication with quite a few people, including myself, that there's a few people on the airport advisory committee, but one specifically that was discussing moving his business, his aeronautical business, from the Butte to Palmer as well, which would take up quite a bit of space. So I think that there are quite a few people on the airport committee board that are planning on taking up that space rather soon and have talked about it at the meetings.
Any other questions? So, unless the city manager has any other comments, the other pieces of paper that we have are information purposes only. One is the current contract. There's others, some letters from back in 2011, 2010 that you can go look at. And I think that what we'll be doing is, we'll have to, I believe the city manager is going to redo and look at this contract and then come back to the city council for approval on that. Is that correct?
Oh, well, the last direction from the city council was to take everything out to an RFP. Do you want me to negotiate with the current contractor with a new contract terms directly? Or do you want to change the direction?
Well, I think the RFP is probably appropriate, but I think before we do that we have input on what the contract is and what it looks like. So we need to review this and change that into current standards.
So,
Mr. Mayor,
do you want me to, oh, sorry.
No, Madam, hold on, please, just a second, please.
Just to be clear, you want me to revise the current golf course contract for whatever the RFP winner is?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes, ma'am.
at the last meeting when I had asked to update the contracts ending in 2025, the four that were listed on our council packet, and then you had added in the golf course, that included the golf course, and that wasn't previously listed in the papers. Like, was that listed with enough time for the public to be noticed that contract could go out for RFP? That was my only concern with that.
Remember your comment was any contract that ended in 2025 went out for an RFP, and I was expanding that to include the golf course contract, which ends 2025. So yes, please.
Just a side note, of course, we'll go with the council direction. That does, the timeline, it's now November 4th, in order to put an RFP out on the street for our multiple city contracts, might be a little bit tight for an award and execution by January 1st.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't have said it better myself than the city manager just said. And when I look at the very first part of the contract, as she mentioned earlier tonight, there's a option to extend for an additional 5 years by mutual written agreement of the parties. I think sitting here on November 4th, looking at something that's going to expire in about 8 weeks, I think that's a more pertinent move. I did notice the signed document is from February 2023, so we did a change kind of in the middle of the last 5-year contract. I don't know if it necessarily has to be for the additional 5 years, if you can do an additional 3 or some other amount, but I think on this particular contract, we should work with what we have, at least for the foreseeable future, and not try to speed roll some other thing through here in the next few weeks.
Can I?
I just want to second that, Mr. Mayor, if I may. It wasn't my intention in bringing that forward. My intention was the 4 that were listed on the council packet. So I just want to clarify that, and if I need to bring forth an amendment that's voted on, that's fine, but I think that there's just a lot of change going on with the conversations surrounding the golf course and airport right now, to also have a change in who's running it.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I feel like if we do another 3-year contract with all the information that we've got, if we're not intentional about making a change, another 3 years, another 2 years, it doesn't seem wise to just continue. I mean, definitely negotiate. I would go with them first and negotiate, but we need to address what needs to be changed in the contract before we extend it another 2-3 years. It just doesn't seem wise.
Let me ask the manager, do we have time between now and the end of the year for you to go through this current agreement and put in I'll call them corrections, the changes that we've talked about in here? And not going out for an RFP, but just the changes that we've talked about?
I believe that is doable between the city and the current contractor, because they also would like to have seen some term changes in the contract, some compensation changes. So that would be a negotiation process moving forward, and then also a revision of possibly the terms of that as well. And that is, speaking from the city's standpoint, it's doable for us to revise that contract and get it before the council before the end of the year.
Okay. All right. That makes sense to me. So, I think, and the city manager is on this, so the direction for the city manager is to work with the current contractor, change the terms that are agreeable to both the city and to the contractor. Do we have agreement on that?
Sounds good.
All right, so that's what we'll do. Any other comments, questions, concerns about what we're talking about right now? All right. I'd like to have a motion to move out of committee of the whole, please.
I move we exit committee of the whole.
A second.
Thank you.
Do you want a roll call vote or just
No. Are there any objections to that? All right, we are out, and now we are into council member comments. Councilwoman Hudson, I know you're feeling sick, so we'll let you go first.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not many comments. Thank you for bringing forth the veterans proclamations, and thank you to everyone who served. I hope everybody has a great week and enjoys their weekend. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Carrington, you're not first this time.
Thank you. I do appreciate everyone that came forward about the golf thing. I think it is an important part of our community. And I'm hoping that we can correct the course of what FAA is needing us to do and what the community wants us to do. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a place to bring those two together. I called some of the local food banks today to just kind of see how things are going with the SNAP checks that are not going out as normal. And I know that the Palmer Food Bank, they've got their beautiful building coming in, but they've been hit pretty hard. They open again tomorrow, and they're looking for any kind of donations, especially any kind of produce. Milk, butter, and eggs were something they were completely out of. And so I was just gonna do a shout out, and I would love to see, there's that food bank, and then there's the Church of God has a food bank, and then the Salvation Army. And the other two didn't get back to me, but she got back to me and was appreciative of the call and was asking for help. They don't really need volunteers right now until they open their building. And then she said they needed an army, so we can maybe enlist later. But for right now, just food and some of the perishable stuff.
Thank you.
That's all.
Councilwoman Collins.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate all the information provided this evening, and understand that both the airport and the golf course are really important parts of our community, and it's unfortunate that we're in this pickle that we're in, but I also hope to be able to find some way to navigate this in a way that maintains the valuable things that both those entities offer our community. So just thank you all for being here.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That sounds like a broken record, but thank you, everybody who came out and testified tonight. Definitely eyes and ears wide open. So I appreciate everybody that takes the time to come out and let us know how they're feeling, whether they write in emails, and especially when they come here and take their 3 minutes to do the best job they can, giving us information, especially as young Julia did tonight and others. Thanks, Mr. Mayor, for your Veterans Proclamations and, of course, for your personal service to our country, especially. I hope everybody enjoys Veterans Day on 11/11. I do appreciate not just the mayor, but the council rejiggering our schedules for the next 2 months, so we're not meeting on Veterans Day and not meeting on the 23rd of December and other things. So we do have a first and third Tuesday meeting schedule here for the next 2 months, and then we'll be back in our normal second and fourth Tuesday situation. So I'll be on a flight at 11/11 on 11/11, so I hope I'm awake and cognizant enough that I can go, hey, this is time to take a couple moments of silence and appreciate everybody who served. So great information, a lot of information provided by the city manager. Thank you for all the information that was provided. Look forward to other future discussions, how to get the library thing finally wrestled to the ground, if you will, and hopefully start seeing progress made. I could be corrected by either the mayor or the city clerk, but I believe we did not postpone the fine schedule. We just postponed the fee schedule tonight. So things like the fine schedule that have those 75, 150, 300s, that is a one that's, needs to be wrestled in the future, but I think we went ahead and passed that one through. The fee schedule piece is what we're gonna take another look at on the 18th. And I'm sure there'll be other data. We'll talk about, what Wasilla does and what other places do that rent out facilities, and we'll come to a final conclusion. So I look forward to that, and hope everybody has a good couple of weeks this time. We'll see you back on the 18th. Thank you.
On Veterans Day, again, please, two things. One, Veterans Day for veterans is not just a one-day event. We're veterans all year long, and please, if you see a veteran, say congratulations, thank you for your service. And at 11 o'clock, please take a 2-minute break, silent break to think about all those people who have served and are serving. December 8th, this is the AML meeting for the newly elected folks. There's a newly elected official get together for the 8th and the 9th. I hope that all of our new people will be there. It's some great information. I probably will be there as well, just to maybe handhold or whatever you need to ask questions about. The AML does go on the entire week. I'm a board member, and my board meeting is on Friday, so I'm there all week long. So on the chamber, I hate going back into history. When I was president of the chamber did everything. The chamber ran the museum. The chamber was in charge of the visitor center. The chamber watered the plants that were on the street. We did all that we did the tree lighting. But it is a good thing that the city gets involved. Like we have talked before, we need to have the city and the chamber kind of in lockstep. Our job is to maintain and promote businesses throughout Palmer, and however we can do that, we need to do that. And we need to get this Thursday meeting going so that I can go to those. So I appreciated that. And again, thank you everybody for coming out. A lot of great information. It's a lot to digest. And so, you can imagine kind of the machinations that we have to go through up here. And I'm sure that we'll come up and make the right decision. I want to thank the managers, the department heads, our finance director and our city manager for all the stuff that they've done, and the council for putting up with all this. And with that, 9:19, we're done. At least not 11.